Welcome to the channel. If you've never been here before, this is Movie Readings, where I read for you entire Hollywood scripts from start to finish here on YouTube. It takes hours to make these, so it could really help me out if you could leave a like and of course subscribe. Don't forget to comment with what you would like to hear next. Enjoy this movie reading, Krampus 2015. Darkness, bathed by a frigid howling wind, building like a choir of screams as we fade in on a child's bedroom at night. A clock ticks, a Christmas candle flickers. The wind moans outside as we drift past a child's desk. Textbooks and toys, gadgets and clothes. Then an envelope crudely addressed to the North Pole. Next to that, an unfinished letter that so far only reads, "Dear Santa." We then float to a reindeer costume, draped on a bed, occupied by a sleeping Max Engel, 12. Tousled hair, mouth agape, even while asleep, Max evokes a mix of wide-eyed innocence and adolescent mischief. All is calm, all is bright, until the roof creaks. The faintest yet deep sounds of wood beams straining. Max stirs but doesn't awaken, and then, creak. It happens again, louder and longer. His eyes pop open. He sits up, curiously listening to the ticking clock and eerie silence, and then, whoomp, skitter, skitter. That sounds like footsteps on the roof. Could it be? Max looks at an advent calendar on his wall, its tiny door open to December 22nd. Confused, he nervously walks to the window and opens the curtains to find nothing, just darkness and trickling snow. Looking up at the sky, Max's face is tinged with disappointment when, wham! A huge figure slams into his window. Max stumbles back, a shadow falling over him as he gawks in horror at a creepy plastic Santa decoration. Dangling upside down, entangled in flickering Christmas lights, Saint Nick slowly swings back and forth, dead eyes staring into our souls. Annoyed and creeped out, Max sighs as we pull out from his window and into the night sky, rising high above the neighborhood, until we're soaring over a festively decorated small town, a snowstorm filling the air, while a children's choir warms our hearts. They sing, "It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Everywhere you go, take a look at the 5 and 10, glistening once again, with candy canes and silver lanes aglow." Credits and music roll as the town strangely begins tilting to one side, toppling end over, and we realize it's actually inside of a snow globe, which keeps tumbling through the air until it shatters in a shower of glass and miniature homes that are crushed under the rampaging feet of frenzied holiday shoppers. Mobs of bargain hunters rampage through a sprawling warehouse megamart in extreme slow motion. The children's choir continues, "It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door." The credits and music continue over a montage of shoppers fighting to the death to save a few bucks. A frenzied mother knocks over an old lady to grab discounted cell phones. Two husbands, fist-fighting over video games, are tasered by security guards as their mortified wives watch. Screaming kids on the lap of a drunk mall Santa, while waspy parents yell at them to stop crying. Frazzled minimum wagers, an elderly Salvation Army bell ringer nearly mowed down by shopping carts, a toddler nursing a black eye. All the holiday insanity we see on the news every December, but up close and in horrifying detail. Finally, under the store's massive fake Christmas tree, a chorus of kids dressed in homemade holiday costumes, snowmen, elves, and sugar plum fairies. Most of the kids aren't singing because they're cheering at Max, now dressed as a reindeer. But poor Max is sprawled on his back, shielding himself as he is pummeled by a brawny kid dressed as a shepherd. Teachers rush to pull them apart, while, in the audience, Tom and Sarah Engel, 30s, Max's upscale, uptight parents, try to force their way through the horrified crowd, while Max's older sister Beth, 15, gleefully records the pint-sized brawl on her phone. The credits end as the choir closes with these parting words. Soon the bells will start, and the thing that will make them ring is the carol that you sing, right within your heart. We fade out. When we fade in, Marley's ghost. I am here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate. You will be haunted by 3 spirits. We pull out as a Christmas carol plays on a small TV in a dining room, continuing out past trays of freshly baked cookies until we settle on an old woman's hands kneading dough. Oma, German for grandma, a silver-haired old woman, wrinkled by 7 decades of smiling. She's baking sugar cookies from scratch, enjoying the peace and quiet. Then, Oma pauses, sensing something coming. The noise. She sighs, bracing herself as the front door bursts open and the Engel family strums in, overloaded with boxes and bags. And we're going to write an apology to the rest of your class for ruining the recital. What were you thinking, Max? That kid was twice your size. Max trundles in wearing his reindeer costume with an ice pack over one eye, still hurt and glum from the fighting, softly. Yeah, but Ben Kuklinski is always ragging on Christmas. He even told the first graders that Santa was just a cheap marketing ploy invented to sell Pepsi. Max is trying to hide how upset he is, but Dad notices. Coke. You know what I mean. But not why you care. Well, someone's gotta. Tom kneels down with a fresh ice pack and inspects Max's bruised eye and his ego. Here, let me see. He winces. Ow, ow! Hey, it's not so bad. But come on, champ. Was drop-kicking him into the manger really the best way to handle this? I was under the influence. Off of Tom's look. What? All we had to do was eat Christmas fudge and candy canes. Cute, but Tom can't help but smile and tousle Max's hair. Max seems to cheer up, a bit of calm in the holiday chaos. Sarah unwraps a brand new framed family portrait. Not to sound harsh, but every kid has to learn the truth someday. To the family photo. Beth, help me hang this? Hearing his mom say this, Max sinks, ever so slightly. I know, I didn't want it ruined for the little kids. But something tells us Max is lying, both to us and himself. Tom changes the TV from A Christmas Carol to the cable news, filling the house with terrorism and holiday crimes. He then looks at Oma's cookies and taps her on the shoulder. These look great, Mom. Oma smiles and nods, speaking softly in German. Danke. But don't work too hard. Sarah already bought cookies at the store. Oma's smile drops, clearly insulted. Tom's cell phone rings. It's Roger. I thought you said you weren't working over Christmas, Tom. I said no traveling over Christmas. I still need to take a few calls. On the phone. Hey, Roger. Yeah, now's fine. What's up? Annoyed, Sarah grabs the new family portrait and heads for the living room as Tom starts toward his den. Hey, wait, aren't we going to watch Charlie Brown and wrap presents together like always? After what you pulled today, you can do it alone and fast because your cousins will be here any minute. And Tom gets back on the phone. Oma hands him a cookie. Max takes it with an uneasy smile, wondering what secrets his grandmother may be hiding. From outside, we see the Engel house, a suburban McMansion dotted with festive lights, but as the wind shrieks, we start creeping toward the house, strangely drifting through the air like some eerie POV. Well, at least your family cares enough to fight. This disembodied point of view hovers outside a frosty attic window, watching Beth Skype her boyfriend, Derek, 17. Yeah, my cousins are crawling out of the shallow end of the gene pool, and everyone's a little on edge. Is your mom popping Xanax again? Like candy. Tonight we're making a Japanese snowflake tree or some shit. Takes a lot of work to make our family look more awesome than it actually is, you know? Yeah, I like snowflakes, but I like my plan better. Derek holds up Gremlins and Die Hard DVDs with a bag of weed, then playfully flicks his tongue at her. Very enticing, but I think I'm stuck here. Come on, people escaped from Alcatraz. I'm only 4 blocks away. Beth's face drops, hearing something bad. What? What's wrong? Her room rattles as a deep rumbling builds outside. Beth cringes, quietly praying for it to go away. Everything. The rumbling shakes Tom's boring work trophies and photos. Best Ceramic Tile Salesman 2013, Incentive Marketing Leadership Conference 2011, Paradigm Shifters Jamboree 2009. Wincing at the noise, Tom sneaks some whiskey into his coffee, closes his eyes, and silently mouths, "Fuck." Max finishes his letter at the same time when ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Non-stop annoying doorbell ringing fills the house. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Sarah pauses from her decorating, breathes deeply, trying to keep it together. She whispers a mantra. It's Christmas, it's Christmas, it's Christmas. The door swings open and Sarah is now all smiles. Merry Christmas! Linda, 30s, 4 kids and 3 part-time jobs have taken the shine off of Sarah's younger sister. They hug awkwardly. Merry Christmas, sis! So glad you guys made it. Aunt Dorothy, under her breath. Lord almighty, looks like Martha Stewart threw up in here. Tom is about to close the door but stops and looks at Linda. Wait, wasn't there another... Linda smacks her forehead, remembering. Chrissy! Damn it, Jordan, I told you to bring her inside. Not my kid. Jordan elbows Stevie and points to the letter poking out of Max's back pocket, clearly addressed to the North Pole. Ideas brewing, the girls mischievously whisper to each other. Howard slaps Tom hard on the back, lurching him forward. Come on, Tommy! Help me grab the baby and the rest of the girl crap out of the truck. Coast clear. Sarah pulls Linda inside. A holiday roast is a surprise. Cancer is a surprise. She is a goddamn nightmare. What were you thinking? Oh, come on, she's not that bad. And besides, she tricked me. I thought we were just dropping off gifts, but she came to the door with a suitcase. What was I supposed to do? Leave her alone on Christmas? No, but you could at least warn me when one of your mistakes is going to become my problem. You think everything I do is a mistake. Howard walks back inside carrying a baby Chrissy, his arms outstretched like he's holding a bomb. I think this warhead is armed. Linda takes Chrissy as Sarah raises a brow at her sister. Point proven. Another defeat in a lifetime of lost arguments. Guess I better go change her. Tom and Sarah exchange a look. A brief, private moment. He goes cross-eyed and Sarah shakes her head, smiling, until... So, what's for dinner? Max sits on the steps, baffled by his bizarre family. As we cut, to the strange, disembodied POV that seems to be watching the family, this time drifting outside the dining room window. It watches them chat around an exquisitely decorated table. Music, candles, and gourmet food provide a stark contrast to the giant bottle of Mountain Dew Howie Jr. is chugging. Haha, that's my boy! The long, hot burp that follows blows Max and Beth's appetites. Beth tries to leave, but catches a sharp glare from Sarah. Tom escapes into his phone while Howard elbows him. Getting Howard Jr. into game shape. By the time he hits high school, he'll be the biggest lineman in the state. You ever been on the field, Tommy? Tom lamely attempts to man up as if he were a Navy SEAL. No, spent most of my younger years in training. Yeah? Army? Marines? Eagle Scouts. Huh? That's where you weave baskets and help little old ladies cross the street. Jordan and Stevie snicker. Actually, there's a lot of survival training. Tell you what, the only survival training I need is my old smoke pole and a box of 30-06 in the truck. He nods to his family. A shepherd's gotta protect his flock. Howard, I thought we agreed. No gun talk at the dinner table. Baby Chrissy flings food to the floor, where Rosie slurps it up. Sarah cringes. Seeing this is like nails on a chalkboard. Wow, looks like Chrissy is really enjoying my Gravlax. Linda taking the hint. Careful, kids. Your Aunt Sarah likes everything clean and perfect. That's why she cooks foods you can't pronounce. She eyes Linda's casserole. Well, I thought you guys might want a break from mac and cheese with hot dogs. Linda shoots daggers at her sister, insulted. Well, you're wrong. Who doesn't at least make ham on Christmas? What are you now, a Jew? Barely containing her rage, Sarah escapes to the kitchen. Maybe it's time for dessert, She gets up while Dorothy enviously eyes Oma's food, a special meal of mashed potatoes, turkey, and green beans. Meanwhile, the kids have their own tense conversation. Hey, Maxie Pad, you hear what happened to Santa? Max sighs, knowing what's coming. He looks to Beth for support, but she glances away, leaving him to die. Max rolls his eyes. No, Jordan, what happened to Santa? I'm Stevie, she's Jordan. The girls exchange a smile, thinking and speaking as one. Heard it on the news. His sleigh crashed in the Rockies, shattered both of his legs. Frostbite took care of his pain, but not his hunger. So to survive, he had to slaughter and eat his reindeer, including Rudolph. She dangles a slice of meat from her mouth. 8 tiny reindeer? Get it? Max tenses. Beth grabs onto his arm. Don't start anything. Sarah crispins creme brulee with a small torch, muttering. Macaroni and cheese and hot dogs? Jesus. From out of nowhere. So why the hell does Oma get real food while the rest of us have to suffer through your duck plate? Startled, Sarah flinches and burns her finger on the torch. She turns to Aunt Dorothy, pouring herself more eggnog. You know, all this fancy stuff wrecks my pipes. Pushed to her limits, Sarah finally unleashes. Well, how about next year we'll go to your place for Christmas, After you've spent weeks decorating, cooking, cleaning, I'll just waddle in and start bitching and moaning about everything you've worked so hard on. Dorothy tries to talk. No, please, Aunt Dorothy. For your sake, stay the fuck out of my kitchen. Aunt Dorothy leaves. A slap to the face would have stung less. Max is on the verge of exploding from his cousin's jabs. We know you still believe in the big fat creeper. I don't know what you're talking about. Grinning wide, Stevie pulls out Max's letter. Max checks his pockets, realizing they've swiped it. You sure about that? Mortified, Max tries to get up, but Beth holds him back. Max, stop! He struggles as Stevie stands and clears her throat, reading. Dear Santa, I know I haven't been great this year and I'm sorry for that, but I was really hoping you could help me and my family out this Christmas. We need you. Aw, Maxie Pad, that's so sweet. Knock it off. Max breaks loose from Beth and tries to tackle Stevie, but Jordan holds him back. Tom senses where this is heading. Guys, come on. Hey, Howard. Aw, they're just playing, Tommy. Knowing her time is short, Stevie scans the letter. Blah, 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 bullshit, bullshit. Here we go. Maxie's wish list. Tom is finally about to step in when, I wish my mom and dad would fall in love again. I know they get upset a lot, but with dad away from home so much, I think they really just miss each other. This freezes Tom in his tracks. The room falls silent, except for Max, wildly kicking, as Jordan keeps him pinned down. Get off me! Beth reaches for the letter. Stevie, stop, that's enough. Wait, you're in here too, Beth. I wish me and Beth could hang out like we used to. You might have noticed that I don't have tons of friends. Aw, no really, Max? Beth's face drops, and this hits home. Also, I wish things weren't so hard for Uncle Howard and Aunt Linda, so maybe you could lend them a hand for the rest of the year, too. Howard and Linda's faces are flush with embarrassment. Stevie's tone changes, suddenly hurt. And that... Screw you! Dad does not wish we were boys! An awkward beat as Sarah proudly enters with dessert. Who wants some creme brulee? Max bites Jordan's hand and breaks for Stevie, who punches him, knocking him on his ass. Both girls pile on Max as he fights back with all he's got. Even Howie jumps in. Tom and Howard struggle to pull their kids apart. Max, calm down. Howard, will you tell the girls to lay off? Come on, Tommy, boy's gotta learn to fight his own fights or he'll get eaten alive come high school. Oma watches as Max grabs the letter and stands up. His heart, his last shreds of childhood innocence, now broken. I just wanted Christmas to be like it used to, but forget it. I hate Christmas, and I hate all of you. He storms off. Max! Max! But he's gone. Sarah looks at Tom, urging him to handle it. I'll lay off him. Kid ought to get a prize for telling the truth. Max sits at his desk, staring at the letter. A knock at the door. Can I come in? No. Tom bears a peace offering of milk and cookies and sits. You know they're leaving right after Christmas, so we only have to survive another... He cringes. 3 days? Every year it gets worse. Why do we have to put up with their crap just because we share DNA? Because that's what family is, Max. People you try to be friends with, even if you don't have a whole lot in common. But why? Because, well... Okay, you got me there. Off of Max's look. Or maybe it just makes us work a little harder to find what we do have in common, you know? Put everything aside and think of other people for a change. Friends, family, even the assholes you normally can't stand. Like Howard? I don't want to name names. Max thinks about this. Dad, do you really believe all that? I want to, Max. Tom tinkers with an advent calendar on the wall. And hey, I bet it's not too late to drop that letter in the mailbox. Tom leaves as Max stares at the letter, contemplative. The family cleans up broken dishes and food, the air thick with awkward silence and decades of growing tension. Max starts to sign the letter, a glimmer of faith still visible in his young eyes, and then, rip. Heartbroken, he tears the letter in half, then tears it again until he can't tear it anymore. Max then opens a window and throws the pieces outside. Instead of falling, the shreds of letter are pulled up into the night air by a sudden gust of wind. Max watches as they swirl higher and higher into the moonlit sky. Satisfied, he closes the window when he notices snow. Just some flurries at first, then a trickle that gives way to a full snowfall. Puzzled by the timing of it, Max closes the blinds. In the sky above, we see thick rolling clouds, massive, unearthly, ominous, somehow forming directly above the Engel house, spreading over the surrounding homes like a biblical storm. Heavy snow and eerie winds start filling empty streets, knocking over decorations and bending tree branches. Frost spreads across windows like skeletal fingers. Christmas lights swell to a bright glow and then pop off. From above, we watch as the Engel house, the entire neighborhood, is engulfed by darkness. We fade in on an advent calendar. Max's hands open the next compartment. December 23rd, revealing a drawing of a snowman. We dissolve to a window, opaque from frost. Then a blurry hand wipes it away to reveal Max, gawking at a blizzard. Cars, houses, all covered in 4 feet of snow. Icicles cover trees and power lines. Shrieking wind and sleet fill the air, as if an Arctic storm swallowed suburbia. Max is stunned, and it might be the next morning, but you wouldn't know it because the sun can barely penetrate the thick clouds and fog, drenching everything in dark, hazy gray. Suddenly, a snowplow rumbles through the fog to reveal a grinning snowman in the middle of their yard, only it's facing the house as if it's watching them. Odd. Slightly unnerved, Max turns from the window to find his family in a growing state of panic. You don't find it at least a bit strange? Sarah wears pajamas under a winter coat, uselessly adjusting the thermostat. We can hear the shrieks and hollering of their cousins from the living room. I mean, they can spot dust specks on Mars, but no one noticed a giant blizzard hurtling towards us? Tom inspecting a fuse box. Well, when the power comes back, you can send an angry email to the National Weather Service. In the meantime, let's try and stay calm. Max tugs at Sarah. There's something weird outside. Sarah ignores Max, too busy checking the faucet for hot water. I am calm. I'd just be calmer if I knew we were going to survive Christmas with 12 people, stuck in a house with no heat, hot water or electricity. Howard at the fridge. Or food. If you grab a stool and spatula, I'm sure you can scrape some pâté off the ceiling, Howard. He grabs a can from the fridge. Beer it is. The phone is down too. Mom? What, Max? There's a snowman in our yard. Tom and Sarah squint outside to see the snowman in question, but clearly aren't concerned. That's great, Max. Who built it? This is the last of their worries. I can barely see across the street, but it doesn't look like it's just us. We could walk over and check with the Turners. The Turners are in Hawaii, the Lamberts are in Florida, and the Cartwrights stopped talking to us after Max's noodle incident. After his what? Sarah spots Oma fiddling around in the fireplace. Max, would you please get Oma out of there before she burns the whole house down? Max rolls his eyes and does as he's told. Suddenly, knock knock. Someone is at the door. Sarah sighs. Now what? I'll get it. Linda opens the door to a dark hooded figure. She gasps, but the figure pulls back his hood and reveals a FedEx guy. Merry Christmas. Signature? Linda looks down and sees a pile of boxes. Linda yelling to the house. Howard, stuff to carry. Some weather, huh? Yeah, it's a ghost town out there. The roads are a nightmare and half the state's buried, with more on the way. As she sighs, Linda also notices a large bag overflowing with more gifts, all wrapped in beautiful, ornate parchment. Those two? Not mine. Must be from the boys in brown. Hey, Merry Christmas. Howard appears behind her. Sup? Snide. Look, they got even more stuff. Howard grabs the gifts. Man, how come rich people get all the free shit? Beth enters the kitchen, cell phone glued to her hand. I've texted Derek like 9 times, and he still hasn't written back. This is not normal. It's the blizzard, honey. Nothing's working right now. Then can I walk over and check on him? It's only a few blocks away. I don't think that's a good idea. I could see if anyone else has got power on the way. Aunt Dorothy looks up from a tabloid. You know, you kids don't have a damn bit of patience. When I was your age, I didn't hear from my boyfriend for 2 years when he was off fighting Charlie. Sarah shakes her head in disbelief and turns to Beth. 1 hour. And when you're back, I want you to spend some girl time with Jordan and Stevie, got it? We follow Beth's mortified gaze to Jordan viciously wrestling Stevie in the living room. Howie Jr. cheers them on as Howard tosses the bag of ornate gifts under the tree. You call that a reversal? Come on, Jordy, plant your feet. Right. You know what I mean. Just be careful, okay? Okay, back later. 1 hour. And Beth is already out the door. Sarah turns to see Oma, still tinkering with the fireplace while Max watches, not doing anything to stop her. Max, I told you to get Oma out of... Oma rises, pours hot water from an old tea kettle she had in the fire into a tray of mugs. She mutters as Max translates. Heiße Schokolade macht alles besser. Hot chocolate makes everything better, Max translates. Embarrassed, Sarah stands down as Oma offers the hot cocoa to the room, melting away everyone's tension. For now. About time someone did something right around here. At the window, Max watches Beth disappear into the fog. He then looks at the mysterious snowman again, and unease creeps over him. Snow whips past the window, becoming a vast expanse of white. Then, a tiny speck appears. Beth, up to her knees in snow, freezing. The fog is so thick that Beth can barely see more than a few feet in front of her. She stops to look around, disoriented. The borders between the streets and the yards have been erased. The whole neighborhood is oddly desolate, silent and dark. Ribbons, wreaths, and other decorations are strewn everywhere. Other than the wind, it's quiet enough to hear the creaking and crackling of the ice-covered trees. Beth looks for signs of life in the passing houses. Nothing. Not even smoke from chimneys. Weird. Then she hears something else. A quiet scraping, like nails on a chalkboard. Screech! Unnerving. She looks around, trying to find the source, with no luck. She keeps walking, now a little more nervous. Screech! There it is again. What the hell? Beth stops and peers into the fog, trying to see, when a deep roar makes Beth jump out of her boots. She turns as the fog clears long enough to reveal a neighbor trying to start his truck. He then goes back to scraping ice from his windshield. Screech! Beth sighs, relieved, barely audible over the wind. Hey, do you guys have power? His head is wrapped in a hood and scarf. The neighbor silently shrugs and shakes his head no. Beth waves, then marches onward, while the neighbor's silhouette begins fading into the fog behind her. As soon as Beth takes a few more steps, the wind howls louder and we hear a muffled yelp. She turns back around, and the neighbor is gone. Only his red scarf remains. Hello? It's as if he's vanished into thin air. Confused, but assuming the neighbor went inside, Beth turns and keeps going. Beth walks along a freshly plowed stretch of road when she hears a faint sound under all the wind. Sleigh bells. She stops to listen. They get closer, as if reindeer might come tromping by at any moment. Even weirder, it sounds like they're coming from above. But as quickly as they had come, the bells are overtaken by the wind again. Beth shrugs it off, suddenly distracted by blinking Christmas lights on a distant house. An oasis of color among the gray. Apparently, someone has electricity. Thank God! Now hopeful, She quickens her pace, but then the next house, the lights flicker on top. Tiny colored beacons pushing through the snow. Even better. And then a third house with more lights, even closer. Beth stops, sensing something isn't right, when a loud thump startles her, followed by faint breathing, deep and raspy. Beth squints through the haze. The house is about 30 feet away. On its rooftop, she spots a stranger in a long hooded coat crouched near the chimney, but silhouetted by fog, it's almost impossible to see him clearly. Hello? The stranger doesn't reply, doesn't move. He simply watches from the rooftop, his hot breath swirling in the frigid air. Maybe someone checking his chimney? But as Beth gets closer, something about this man feels very, very off. She stops to get a better look, as the stranger stands. Frighteningly tall, easily 7 feet, a sinewy yet hulking mass drenched by fog and shadow. We can barely make out his dark crimson robes, like tattered fur pelts dyed with blood. Flickering Christmas lights illuminate a little more of him, just enough to make out an ashen beard, tangled and matted, encrusted with dirt and ice. Slung over his shoulder, a huge leather sack, a weathered patchwork of animal hides blotched by dark stains and filled with God knows what. Like an obscene vision of St. Nicholas, the stranger cocks his head, gazing at Beth, hissing. Then, just as we're wondering how someone that big got on the roof, he silently leaps straight through the air, briefly disappearing in the snowstorm, before, whomp! He lands on the house right behind Beth. More lights flicker. Somehow he is causing this. Oh my God! Beth smartly runs as the stranger leaps again and lands on another house, chasing her from the rooftops. A preternatural predator playing cat and mouse. Somebody help me, please! She glances back, seeing the stranger perched on a chimney, a leering gargoyle watching her, enjoying the chase. Beth screams and falls, digging herself out over and over, face wet with icy tears. She looks back at the stranger, scanning the rooftops, but he's gone, vanished. Beth sees something ahead in the fog, the FedEx truck. Oh God, help me! She reaches the truck, tries the door, frozen shut. Climbs up and peers through the glass to see the FedEx guy inside, frozen solid, mid-scream. Beth shrieks but quickly covers her mouth, nervously glances around. No sign of the stranger in the fog. Thinking fast, she crawls under the truck. We stay under the truck as Beth lays perfectly still. She tries not to breathe. She trembles, listening. Just the wind, and then, whomp! The stranger lands outside the truck and starts circling, sniffing her out, taunting her with hissing breath. Beth whimpers, watching his feet crunch the snow. No, they aren't feet. They're hooves. Steam rising with each step. Beth closes her eyes, crying and praying, and then the stranger leaves. His hooves abruptly lift straight off the ground with a gust of wind, as if he just flew away. Beth listens, unsure. Is he gone, or trying to lure her out? She quietly looks around and freezes. She sees it. A wooden jack-in-the-box, placed in the snow a few feet away. Faded like an antique, its tiny crank starts rotating. An off-key, Silent Night plays. Just as it reaches All is Bright, ka-chunk, the lid snaps open. Beth isn't stupid. She slowly starts crawling backwards, inching away from this horrid little device. But then inside the box, something stirs. We barely see the top of what might be a small head swaying back and forth, like a cobra rising from a basket. But before we fully see this creature, we're back on Beth's face, terror filling her eyes, as she takes in this unseen and unspeakable horror. From above, looking down on the truck, Beth's screams fill the air, long and loud, only to be drowned out by shrieking wind. Max stares out the window, then suddenly spots 2 more snowmen in their yard, both facing the house like the first one, but these guys look a lot less friendly, and they definitely were not there a moment ago. Tom's cell phone, battery dying, no service. Anything? Sarah enters, hands Tom a sandwich. He's sitting by the window. It's getting darker outside and colder inside. We are starting to see their breath. It's the strangest thing. No cars, no people, not even a salt truck. Don't suppose you got me a backup generator, did you? Under the tree next to your ties and underwear. Sarah sits and wraps a blanket around both of them. Hey, what time is it? Beth should be home by now, shouldn't she? She's fine. She's at Derek's. All the more reason to worry. Hun, relax. Just for once, okay? How's everyone else doing? Cranky, bored, sick of the cold, and each other. 'Tis the season. Sarah smiles and leans her head on his shoulder. Tom seems surprised, as if they hadn't been this close in a while. He gives into it and gently kisses her on the head. I miss us. Me too. A beat. Then the wind roars, rattling the house. Frozen trees scrape the windows like phantoms. How long can this keep up? Not long. Not at this rate, anyway. More wind, even harsher. Then, distant sirens. Tom sees Sarah is worried. He is too, but hides it better. At least we know there's someone else out there. Mom? Dad? Max lingers in the doorway, concerned. It's almost dark, and Beth hasn't come back yet. Tom and Sarah exchange a look, both of them thinking about Beth and the distant sirens they just heard. In the living room, the crackling fire. Oma adds some logs, and then oddly sneaks up a glance at the chimney, as if anxiously looking for something. The rest of the family is huddled under coats and blankets. Junk food is everywhere. Rosie the bulldog is snoring on her back. Howard awkwardly feeds baby Chrissy a bottle, while Howie munches on fruitcake. Dorothy shivers on the couch, nursing a flask and a good buzz. Tell you what, if I was one of those bums freezing in the street right now, finger across her throat, I would just end it. Linda wraps a blanket around Stevie and Jordan, who are busy killing zombies on an iPad. Chrissy? Christ, Aunt Dorothy. What? Even on a nice day you wonder why they bother. Tom, Sarah, and Max enter, clearly worried. Hey, Howard, you think your Hummer can get through this mess? Lucinda? Hell, I could point her due east, hit the gas, and be storming the beaches of Normandy by sunrise. What's up? Beth, she went to her boyfriend's earlier, and she should be back by now. You see, you let him out of your sight for 1 second, and boom, shotgun wedding. Aunt Dorothy, please. You ought to know. Linda shrinks, stung by the truth. Max then notices Oma, becoming agitated, oddly so. It's probably nothing, but I thought we'd pick her up and do a quick swing around town, see what's going on out there. A little recon mission, huh? He hands Chrissy to Linda. I thought you'd never ask. As they turn to leave, Omi grabs Tom's arm. Kein Aufenthalt. Nicht gehen. What? Why? The hell is she all riled up about? Warten, bis der Sturm vorüber ist. She says not to go. She says it's too dangerous, that we should wait until the storm's over. Tom and Sarah exchange a concerned look, as if this isn't the first time they've seen Oma act irrationally. Tom, I got it. Hey, Mom, we have to pick up Beth, but Max and Sarah will take care of you while I'm gone, okay? Oma shakes her head and tries to reply, but... Mom, listen. Everything's going to be okay, I promise. But Oma doesn't seem so sure, nervously biting her lip while Tom and Howard head for the door. Seeing how agitated she is, Max gently holds his grandmother's hand. Sarah and Linda watch from the doorway, hiding their unease as the Hummer roars to life and rumbles onto the icy streets. From a bird's eye view, the Hummer is a tiny dot slowly navigating a dark, hazy maze. Global warming my ass. Must be at least -20. The windshield wipers fight a losing battle with sleet and fog. Tom rides shotgun while searching for a radio channel but only finds static. It doesn't make any sense. Try AM? I tried everything. Guess the storm knocked out all the stations, too. Yeah, I guess so. Then, Tom finds something. A familiar long beep of the emergency broadcast signal fighting through hissing static. Automated EBS voice. National Weather Service has a blizzard warned entire central area, including Franklin, Della, Chagrin Falls, Warren, the temper, -degrees, urge, avoid, seek shelter. Neither man wants to admit how bad this sounds. What I wouldn't give for some Bing Crosby right now. Tom quietly agrees while he notices something outside. Wait, slow down. What is that? They see a wide path freshly cut through the street. Looks like a plow came through. The Hummer turns, followed by the plow trail. Misty headlights reveal cars buried under huge sweeping snowdrifts. The Hummer continues along the carved path. It's almost like a frozen canyon, with snow piled high on either side. Then the Hummer's beam cuts through the eerie mist to reveal the snowplow rammed into a tree. Jesus, how? Tom and Howard climb out. They cautiously approach the crashed plow. Flashlights scan the driver door, hanging open. The plow is empty. Tom finds a shattered windshield, while Howard notices a trail of frantic footprints scrambling away from the crash. Must have lost control somehow. Maybe smacked his head on the windshield and stumbled that way. Tom checks inside. He notices a photo of a man and his family clipped to the visor. Wrapped gifts in the passenger seat, all covered in shattered glass. I don't think it was his head that did that, Howard. Look. Howard notices a gaping hole that was punched inward. On edge, Tom checks his phone again. No signal. Battery 5%. We gotta find Beth. Snow is too high, Tom. Lucinda's a tough broad, but she ain't gonna cut through the rest of this mess. Well, Derek's place is only a few blocks from here. Same way as those tracks. Howard is already walking back to the Hummer, where he opens a lockbox to reveal a shotgun and a .357 revolver. You really think we need... I ain't taking any chances. He hands him the revolver. Just point and shoot, my friend. It's kind of heavy. Yeah, it's Linda's. As Howard slams the trunk shut, we cut to Tom and Howard moving, flashlights following the erratic footprints. It looks like there was a struggle. Then the white snow becomes dotted with red specks, leading to a huge puddle of icy, blood-soaked snow. Tom and Howard gawk at the frozen blood. Howard looks down, sickened to realize he's standing in some of it. Sweet Lord. Howard is about to puke or run as Tom kneels down, inspecting some shreds of clothing, a wallet, and keys. What kind of god-forsaken neighborhood do you live in? Tom pockets the wallet and keys, then looks around at all the eerily quiet homes and notices front doors ajar, smashed windows, more erratic footprints leading from the porches into yards, but none of the tracks seem to make it past the sidewalks. Tom's mind is racing, thinking only of Beth. Come on! But... Tom keeps going. Howard reluctantly follows, gun raised, still glancing back at the puddle of frozen blood. We cut to a pop and a hiss. A match lighting, an old Santa candle. His chubby face already melted into a demented scowl. Sarah and Linda light candles, trying to keep things cozy. Max is trying to read a comic book, but keeps stealing glances at the Santa candle, oddly uneasy. His cousins snore nearby. Looking at the Christmas tree, Linda's eyes light up. Oh my gosh! You had Mom's angel this whole time? I thought you knew. No. Remember we used to fight over who got to place her? Sarah smiles. Yeah, and you fought dirty. I think I still have the scars. Linda inspects the tree, touched to find old handmade ornaments and a faded photo of her and Sarah as kids. Sis, you saved everything. Yeah, I figured that's what Mom would have done, you know? A beat as Sarah and Linda share a nostalgic moment. You always do everything right. Nah, I'm just really good at making it look like I do. The truth is, there isn't a day that goes by where I don't wake up with one hand on the panic button. Oh, come on, you? You've got everything. Your whole house is like one big Sky Mall catalog. Yeah, but with Tom traveling, Max is always holed up in his room doing, whatever it is boys do, and Beth spends all of her time with Derek. Things can get a little bit quiet. The grass is always greener, sis, trust me. I'd kill for some quiet. Look at me, 3 years younger, but somehow I managed to squeeze out twice as many kids. Yeah, do that math. I know, but you guys always seem so happy, like you could care less what anyone thinks. Don't you dare say you're jealous. No, it's nice to have some company, that's all. The sisters smile, their first real conversation in years. Suddenly the wind howls, rattling the house. Even the fire flickers. Max and his cousins perk up, alarmed, when, thud, more wood lands in the hearth, piled on by Oma. She stokes the flame higher and checks the heat, adds another log. Oma, try not to use up all the firewood, okay? We need to make it last. But Oma waves her off. Yeah. Suddenly, scratching from above. Something on the roof? Everyone hears it. Mom? Probably just squirrels. In this weather? Scratch, scratch. They listen as it scurries toward the chimney. Rosie whimpers at the ceiling when, wham! Something else hits the roof. Bigger and heavier. More scratching and scurrying. All eyes are glued to the ceiling. Max notices Oma clutching the fire poker like a weapon, staring at the fireplace. Then to herself. Elfen. Then, with a final massive boom that makes everyone jump, silence. It's gone. See? Squirrels. But Max can tell. She doesn't seem so sure. Right, probably playing with their nuts. Howard anxiously trails Tom as they approach the front yard of Derek's house, passing by an icicle-draped snowman, just like the one Max saw earlier, but even more grotesque. I'm telling you, Tommy, these damn gangs wait for natural disasters, and then they swoop in like vultures and start looting. We gotta get back to the house and warn the others. We will, but first we find Beth. On the porch, they find the door smashed open, pummeled by something huge. Tom and Howard exchange a look, then raise their guns and enter. Flashlights reveal everything is in shambles. Shattered ornaments, broken candy canes, crushed gifts. As if someone shook the entire house like a snow globe. Beth, Derek. Howard waves at Tom using military hand signals, but Tom shrugs. He has no idea what Howard's saying. Hushed. I'll check upstairs. Don't be stupid, we stick together. They proceed down the hall into the kitchen. Flashlights sweep the room. Glass crunches under their feet. The walls and floor are spattered with milk and blood. Howard takes photos of everything with his phone. Noticing the open refrigerator, Tom closes the door and finds a gingerbread man pinned to the other side by a kitchen knife, its tiny face twisted in agony. It's weird. Whoever did this was one demented son of a bitch. He snaps off one of the gingerbread man's legs and eats it. Someone's point of view watches Howard and Tom search the room, but the POV is oddly small enough to hide under a table. Then a sound from the living room. Something moving? Tom and Howard follow it, but as they exit, something small darts across the kitchen and into the shadows. They find a room covered in snow, windows smashed, smoldering logs and ash all over the floor. Tom inspects some broken toys, shattered photos including Derek and Beth's prom photo. He picks it up, flooded with emotion. "We'll find her, Tommy." Tom nods, holding it together as they continue their search. It looks like the fireplace exploded all over the room. In the spewed ash, Tom spots claw marks. 2 long trails scraped along the floor into the blackened hearth. Maybe some poor sap fell into the fire, so they dragged him out. Yeah, or dragged in. Howard looks closer. Tom might be right. But wait. What about that? Howard points to strange footprints in the ash. "I've hunted a lot of game in my day, Tom. Those are goddamn hooves. Big ones, too. Maybe an elk or a goat." "Yeah, but what kind of goat walks on its hind legs?" Howard snaps more photos when distant screams echo outside. "Beth!" Tom charges into the snow, listening to the shrieks as Howard struggles to keep up. Tom, wait!" Tom reaches the street and spins around. Beth's screams seem to echo all around him, bouncing off the darkened houses. "Beth, where are you?" Her screams echo everywhere. Tom heads into the fog while behind him, Howard is to his thighs wading through snow when he's stuck. His right foot won't move. Caught on something? What the? Something under the snow bites into Howard's leg. Howard screams, flailing, and drops his shotgun as he's tossed around like a rag doll. "Tom, help me! Help me!" We can hear the sounds of some unseen creature growling under the snow like a monstrous shark. Howard is then dragged away, about to get pulled under the snow when Tom's hand lunges, grabbing Howard. "Hang on, Howard! Just hang on! Something's down there! It's got me! I think it's eating me!" Then, even in the chaos, Tom suddenly catches a glimpse of a dozen snowmen watching from the yards. They are perfectly still, but they are watching and smiling. Each time Tom's eyes dart to look at one, somehow the snowmen get closer. Tom is stunned. "God damn it, Tom!" Tom snaps out of it, trying to pull Howard free again, playing a painful game of tug-of-war with whatever the hell is under the snow. All we hear are its carnal grunts. Tom almost has Howard free when, crunch, the thing bites down again, and hot blood spreads through icy white. "Oh my God, it hurts! It hurts! Pull me out! Pull me out!" In a flash, Tom stands, gun raised. On Howard, ashen. "Tommy?" Pop, pop, pop. Tom fires, and on the 4th pop, we smash to the living room at the same time. The whole family springs to their feet, hearing the gunshots. "Suppose those were the squirrels, too?" Then, back to Tom, firing into the snow, missing Howard by inches. A pained, muffled cry as the unseen creature screeches and tunnels away under the snow like a demented Bugs Bunny. Tom grabs the shotgun and helps Howard to his feet. Howard cringes in agony. He sees the bloody bite wound on his leg. "What the hell was that thing?" "I don't know, but we have to move. Now!" They take off, Tom supporting Howard as he limps along. Someone's point of view watches the men hobble through the street below, raspy breaths condensing into swirling clouds. They round a corner and both freeze in their tracks moments later. No! Oh my God, Lucinda! The Hummer is in flames. Howard is in tears. Then a long howl echoes in the darkness, inhuman and terrifying. Why is this happening? Christ, come on! They keep going. Sarah puts on a coat while Linda cradles the crying baby. Where do you think you're going? To find them. I don't like this. What are you talking about? Howard and Tom know what they're doing. They're fine. Are they? Sarah stares at Linda, hinting at the gunshots. When, Mom? Sarah pauses, sees Max looking at her helplessly, and softens. Honey, I'll be right back, I promise. Just lock the door and... The door bursts open. Tom and Howard shamble in, slam it shut again, locking every deadbolt and chain. They're trembling from the cold, their skin already frostbitten. Max, get the first aid kit! Oh my God, Howard! Howard collapses on the couch. Ow, ow, I gotta sit. Oh my God, where's Beth? We heard gunshots. I'll explain everything, but right now we need everyone to remain calm. Get away from the windows. Guns, swords, knives, pots, pans, round up whatever you can. Howard, not here. Tom gestures to the frightened kids. Wincing in pain, Howard does his best to calm down. Linda gasps at his wound. Jesus, Mother and Joseph, what happened out there? Howard grits his teeth, eyes Tom. See, I'm playing along. Nothing, it's just a scratch. It looks like something bit you. It's a scratch. Must have stepped in a bear trap under the snow. We don't have bears. Linda finally catches on, reading between the lines. Hey kids, why don't you go to the kitchen and make something to eat? Aw, come on, you guys don't want to tell us what's going on. All of you into the kitchen right now. Aunt Dorothy, will you keep an eye on them? Why me? I never liked kids, even when I was one. Please. Seeing the fear in the kids' eyes, Aunt Dorothy's heart begins to warm just a little. All right, I'll show you guys how to make peppermint schnapps. They follow her out, all except Max, who defiantly glares. Max, go! Max leaves as Tom approaches Oma in the fireplace. Mom, will you please help them? Oma is eerily calm and stoic. Something tells us she knows more than she's letting on. She nods, and then, subtitled, Keep the fire hot. Tom thinks about this as Oma heads to the kitchen. The only house with any sign of life within is the Engels. Lit by candles, Stevie, Jordan, and Howie Jr. sit at the table, mesmerized, as Dorothy mixes peppermint schnapps and hot chocolate, then stirs it with a candy cane. See, a little sugar, a little spice, makes everything nice. She sips it and smiles, sees them begging with their eyes. All right, just don't rat me out. Dorothy lets the kids pass around the mug, each taking a sip. Even she can't help but enjoy this quiet moment with them. At the doorway, Max tries eavesdropping on them, but only hears hushed whispers, clanging silverware. Then he turns his attention to Oma, sorting through knives and meat cleavers, creating a pile of makeshift weaponry on the counter. A painful cry echoes from the living room. Max turns back to eavesdropping as Dorothy and the kids follow his lead. Howard writhes in pain while Tom applies antiseptic and bandages to the bite wound. Linda and Sarah are scrolling through Howard's phone, shocked by images of Derek's house. But who did all this? Your guess is as good as mine. I thought it might have been some kind of gang thing, but... He points at his wound. All this other crazy shit we saw just doesn't add up. It could be terrorists. Yeah, sure, maybe they traded suicide vests for rabid tunneling pit bulls. Ow! Easy there, Tommy. Tom finishes dressing the wound. Sarah is pacing. And Beth? Nothing. I thought I heard her for a second, but... So she's still out there? And we'll find her, I promise. But first, I need to make sure you guys are safe. Don't be silly. Beth is just with her boyfriend, and we're all going to be fine. See? You've got your whole family here. And besides, it's Christmas, right? Nothing bad is going to happen on Christmas. Linda wishes her words were more comforting. She hugs her kids, then looks at Sarah, trying to hold it together. Dorothy sits next to Howard and offers up some painkillers. He's surprised by the gesture, but takes it. Cheers. Well, guess that cat's out of the bag. Hiding her anguish, Sarah turns to gaze out at the raging storm. Tom approaches, doing his best to console her. We'll find her, honey, I promise. Max and Oma solemnly watch their struggling family, while outside, the screeching wind crescendos as we cut to a nail gun boards up plywood on the windows. Howard and Tom work together, turning 2x4s into bracket barricades for the front door, while Howie Jr. helps. In the kitchen, Max shows Stevie and Jordan how to operate some kerosene lanterns, while Dorothy makes them sandwiches. The kids gawk, surprised by the gesture. In the garage, Linda and Sarah gather firewood, flashlights, binoculars, candles, axes, bats, and other equipment. A stocked liquor cabinet opens, and Aunt Dorothy gazes at the bottles, beaming like a kid in a candy store. In the dining room, food, supplies, and weaponry are neatly laid out. Tom looks over everything, hoping that it's enough. Max suddenly scampers by with Tom's laptop bag. Confused, Tom follows him to the living room, where Max removes a portable travel battery and plugs in the tree, filling the room with soft white light. Touched, the family stares in awe, basking in its warmth. And all while this is happening, we see Oma keeping to herself, keeping the fire tall and hot, as we dissolve to later that night. The wind moans. The windows are dark and boarded shut. Inexplicably, we hear the familiar and comforting sounds of the Charlie Brown Christmas special. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and they were so afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy. We pull out to reveal this isn't the TV, but Linda's iPad. The girls are camped out in front of it, wrapped in blankets, while Howie munches on a fruitcake and offers it to Jordan. Gross! How can you eat that crap? Howie shrugs and keeps eating. Sarah enters with more pillows. Won't the battery die? It's gotta go sometime. Might as well enjoy it. You're telling me. Dorothy swishes a brandy glass, already half asleep. Been a while since we had a slumber party. Yeah. First one asleep gets her hand dipped in warm water. That never actually worked, did it? Sarah nods to Aunt Dorothy. We could find out. The women quietly laugh, but Linda sees her sister's smile fade fast, obviously still anxious. Hey, Beth's a tough girl. Takes after her mom. I'm sure she's fine. Sarah's smile returns, grateful. Thanks, sis. At the windows, Tom and Howard use binoculars, peering outside through slits between the boards. Howard looks like he wants to say something, and finally musters up the courage. Hey, Tom, I wanted to say thanks for, saving my ass back there. Oh, sure, no problem. Tom is taken aback by this little bonding moment. And sorry for thinking you were such a spineless prick all these years. This is news to Tom. Howard reads his surprise. Now look, I know you don't think much of me either. No, Howard, you're... Linda's life sentence? That's what her dad called me at the wedding. Still, that was the happiest day of my life. I promised myself I wouldn't be the loser everyone thought I'd be, but now here I am. A loser would have walked out 10 years ago, Howard. What matters is that you're always there for them, that you come home every night to see your wife and put your kids to bed, you know? I mean, at least you're not spending half the year in hotels and airport lounges. I'm not saying all this because you're holding a shotgun. Howard smiles, oddly moved. Thanks, Tommy. Max joins them, eating a cookie. You should get some sleep, champ. How? Good point. Max spots the eerie snowmen outside, now covered in sharp icicles, their grins sending chills up his spine. Dad, are we gonna die? Tom and Sarah exchange a look. Then, calm and collected, no. Thud. They see Oma toss some logs onto the fire. Oma's been acting different ever since the storm. Yeah, but she always gets weird around Christmas. How come? Dunno. She never wanted to talk about it. Max considers this when, boom, the entire house shakes. Flashes of light burst through the boards. Everyone screams and hits the deck. Chrissy now awake and crying. What the hell was that? Sure as shit wasn't fireworks. Everybody stay down. Howard? Tom and Howard carefully climb back up to the window. From a binocular point of view, a fiery glow on the horizon and plumes of smoke. Looks like some kind of explosion. What is out that way? Main Street? The kids flock out to Linda and Sarah near hysterics. The women comfort them despite their own splintered nerves. Shh, it's all right. It was far, far away from us. It's okay. But Tom spots something else on the horizon. The faint glow of streetlights. Flickering electricity? Wait, it looks like someone still has power. Maybe the Megamart? Could have been some gas line. Poor bastard's trying to turn his heat back on. Yeah, or maybe it was them. I think I'm more worried about what I'm not hearing. No sirens, no police or fire. Where is everyone? They listen. She's right. Dead silence. Maybe they're the ones who got blown up. Guys! Linda points out the kids, all shuddering with fear. Hey, how about we finally get some sleep? Maybe tomorrow we can open some presents early, if you're good. The kids relax and climb back into their sleeping bags. Howie nuzzles up against Aunt Dorothy, who reluctantly lets him. Howard and Tom watch as Linda and Sarah tuck everyone in, a moment of calm in the surreal chaos. You know, Linda might be a right pain in the ass sometimes, but she has a way with the little ones that I'll never understand. Tom looks at Sarah, more in love with her than ever. Yeah, I know what you mean. They are all huddling next to the crackling fire, probably the closest this dysfunctional family has ever been. We should stay up and keep watch. Make sure the neighborhood doesn't come crashing down. Good idea. I'll go first. Nah, you catch some winks with your family. Besides, it's about time I put my reserves training to good use. You sure? Click, clack. Howard checks his shotgun. Good to go. A shepherd's gotta protect his flock. Howard settles next to the window, gun raised and ready, as we smash cut to Howard slumped in his chair, snoring. Linda's iPad plays a quiet and haunting rendition of Silent Night as we glide past the sleeping family. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Linda on the floor, surrounded by her kids like a mother hen. Oma asleep in a chair, clutching her fire poker. Round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant so tender and mild. Aunt Dorothy on the sofa, nestled protectively with Howie. Tom, Sarah, and Max huddled together on the floor. Sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. The music lulls us into a sense of serenity, at least until the iPad battery finally dies. Then, silence. We can only hear the family's soft breathing and a ticking clock, but something is missing, something crucial. The fireplace. With no one watching, its flames have been reduced to smoldering embers. Still asleep, Max shivers and pulls his blankets tighter. We can see everyone's breath clouds as if the room is getting even colder. With the wind comes the sound of tiny footsteps padding across the roof. Someone has arrived. Strange whispers echo from the chimney. Impish voices arguing in some cryptic ancient tongue become stifled giggles as powdery ash trickles down the chimney. We then hear something slowly descending, getting closer and closer, until a figure lowers into the cold fireplace. Suspended from a rusty chain, adorned with tiny bells, it is a jumbo gingerbread man the size of a doll. It comes to rest in the dying hearth, while more quiet giggles echo from above. Then, with a tug of the chain bells softly jingle, but everyone continues sleeping. The chain twitches again, jingling louder, the gingerbread man dancing with every tug. Finally, Howie Jr. stirs and sniffs the air. He groggily wakes up and spots the gingerbread man dangling in the fireplace. His eyes light up. It's a dream come true. He carefully gets up and tiptoes over his sleeping family as more whispers echo from the top of the chimney, shushing each other, barely able to contain their glee. Grinning as dumb and wide as the gingerbread man himself, Howie picks up the oversized cookie and takes a deep whiff, relishing its warm, sweet smell. He raises it to his mouth, angling its head for the biggest possible bite, and then, chomp. Howie's eyes roll back in bliss. Crumbs tumble down his chubby cheeks. It's perfect. Howie munches away, then opens his mouth for another bite, but then, chomp. Howie shrieks in pain, gaping in horror to see that the gingerbread man has bitten into his hand. Somehow this bizarre demented cookie has come to life. Howie tries shaking it loose, but the gingerbread man laughs maniacally as it runs circles over and around his body, tightly wrapping him up in chain like a spider. Howie screams as the chains go taut, and everyone springs awake just as Howie is yanked up and into the fireplace. "Howie!" Howard runs, but trips over Aunt Dorothy. Howie's feet are about to disappear up the chute when hands latch onto his ankles, held tightly by Sarah. "Hang on, Howie!" Howie's screams are mixed with the bizarre chittering laughter of the gingerbread man and his unseen cohorts above. Sarah pulls as hard as she can, but she too is violently yanked up into the chimney. "Tom!" Tom lunges and grabs Sarah's leg. Howard recovers and joins the insane tug-of-war. Even Max rushes to help, everyone pulling, trying to wrench Sarah and Howie free. "We got you! We got you!" The kids scream. Baby Chrissy wails. Rosie howls and barks. "Pull harder, goddammit!" Everyone tugs and kicks, sending smoldering logs into the Christmas tree. It catches fire. Dry branches and gifts quickly burst into flame. "Max! The fire extinguisher!" Max runs off as the room fills with fire and smoke. Oma pulls Linda and the girls away, coughing and hacking, while Aunt Dorothy attacks the inferno with a blanket. Sarah clings to Howie inside the chimney, barely able to see in the darkness and soot. When she finally glances up, she's horrified to see the gingerbread man inches from her face, screeching. Sarah screams as her sanity is shattered. Tom and Howard seem to be winning. Sarah's legs are almost out of the chimney, followed by Howie's. "We got you, buddy!" But then, more footsteps rush across the roof. Reinforcements? followed by loud grunts. Everyone lurches as Howie slips from their grip and vanishes up the chimney. No! Howie's shrieks are overtaken by whoops of sinister celebration and a stampede across the roof before silence. They're gone, just as mysteriously as they arrived. Linda sobs, cradling the baby. Howie? Oh God, no! Max returns and sprays the tree with the extinguisher. Let go of me! He's alive! I gotta go after him! Howard! Howard, stop! You can't open that door! Howard glares at Tom. Then he sees Linda and the kids. His rage becomes despair. Howard looks down and realizes he's still holding one of Howie's orthopedic shoes. My dear Lord, this isn't happening. My boy! He collapses to the floor. Smoke clears and ash settles. The tree smolders, now a charred skeleton of gnarled branches and melting ornaments. The heirloom angel shattered on the ground. Sarah, are you hurt? Honey? She's in shock, still unable to grasp what she saw in the chimney. The whole family is pretty much in disaster. They were laughing. Did you hear them? It's my fault. I fell asleep. My boy is gone, and it's all my... The fire whooshes back to life, filling the room with flickering light and shadow. Everyone turns to see Oma, silhouetted by flames. The old woman looks at them with tears in her eyes, barely a whisper. Das ist alles unser Schuld. Ist für als allen kommen. Tom, what's she saying? Tom, just as confused, hesitantly translating. This is all our fault? He's coming for us all? Sarah looks at Tom, once again worried that Oma is losing it. Mom, are you feeling okay? Have you taken your pills? Dad, let her talk. Please, listen. The room drops into stunned silence. For the first time, Oma has spoken in English. Under her breath, Aunt Dorothy says, I knew it. This is difficult for Oma, physically and emotionally. I must tell you something, all of you. A beat. She takes a deep breath and begins telling her story, wrestling out the words in a thick German accent. It started with the wind, on a cold winter night, much like this. Flickering shadows on the wall become animated, transforming into gnarled trees, then a dark forest. The war was over, but times were still difficult for my village. We are watching Oma's story come to life via ornate, animated shadow puppets, as we descend into a small German town, 1946. Snow falls on the skeletal remains of a once quaint town. Shattered buildings shiver and creak in the cold winter wind. It was almost Christmas, but unlike years past, this Christmas was darker and less cheerful. We push through fog and rubble to the town square, where we see what seems to be a silhouette of a large demon, 2 red glowing eyes and a long tongue twisting from an open mouth. But as we move through the mist, we see the eyes are actually the taillights of a Red Cross truck, and the long black tongue is a line of starving people awaiting their rations. We move down the line of somber faces until we find a little girl clutching a tattered Santa doll. This is young Oma. But I believed in Santa, in magic and miracles, the hope that we could find joy again. Young Oma is handed the last loaf of bread by the Red Cross worker. For a moment, it's the perfect Christmas image until Oma is violently knocked to the ground, her Santa doll and bread sent flying into the air. But our village had given up on miracles and on each other. Realizing the rations have run out, the crowd turns into a mob, just like the opening credits. An old man is knocked over. A Red Cross worker is attacked. 2 starving men fight over a bag of grain while their angry wives scream at each other. The bag rips and grain flies everywhere, falling to the ground around young Oma, who looks up at the scene in shock. They had forgotten the spirit of Christmas, the sacrifice of giving. The crowd clears and Oma picks herself up. There's no food left, but she manages to find her Santa doll. Its face now trampled into a twisted mask, eyes glaring. And my family was no different. Off this grotesque version of Old Saint Nick, we dissolve to Oma's father's screaming face. We pull back to reveal her father, mother, and 2 older sisters yelling at her for coming home empty-handed. Oma offers up all that she has in consolation, her Santa doll. I tried to help them believe again, but they were no longer the loving family I remembered. Oma's mother snatches the doll from her hands and rips it in half, tossing the pieces to the ground. They had given up, and eventually, so did I. Heartbroken, Oma throws the torn doll into the fireplace. And for the first time, I didn't wish for a miracle. I wished for them to go away. And as the doll is swallowed by flames, we follow the smoke up the chimney into the night sky, twisting into rumbling black clouds, choking out the stars and moon. Below, one by one, the lights of the town begin to follow suit until we only see black and hear the sounds of roaring wind. And that night, in the darkness of a howling blizzard, I got my wish. Suddenly we hear distant thuds on the roof, again and again, closer and closer, until they're right above us, like a heartbeat racing in the dark. Boom! Young Oma's eyes burst open, and we pull back to reveal young Oma shivering in bed, listening. I knew Santa was not coming this year. We hold on a close-up of Oma as we listen to the horrors happening in the rest of the house, but never see them. Instead, it was much darker, a more ancient spirit. Hooves clomping, rusty bells jingling, the dull thud of something heavy hitting the floor, the deranged giggles and pitter-patter of tiny feet racing through the cottage. The shadow of St. Nicholas. It was Krampus. And then the screams. And as he had for thousands of years, Krampus came not to reward, but to punish, not to give, but to take. We hear the shrieks of Oma's family as they are ripped from their beds, unbearably loud. Walls crack as someone smashes into the other side, followed by chittering laughter. He and his helpers. Tears stream down Oma's face as she covers her ears, but the screams continue building to a deafening crescendo. Her eyes dart around the dark room. Then, through the crack of her door, Oma catches a brief, fleeting glimpse of tiny figures darting through the halls, snickering. They are followed by their leader, the dark silhouette of Krampus, a lanky figure clad in dark, ragged robes, huge twisted horns, and a matted beard framing his gleaming eyes. Krampus is about to leave when he suddenly stops. Sensing something, the demon turns and peers through the door crack, staring right at Oma, trembling and terrified. But Krampus didn't take me that night. Still shaking, young Oma enters the living room, gawking. He left me as a reminder of what happens when hope is lost. The charred rubble of the fireplace split down the middle. When belief is forgotten. And in the ash, a rusty jingle bell inscribed with Gruß vom Krampus. And the Christmas spirit dies. As young Oma picks up the bell, the light of Christmas morning washes over her. We dissolve to the same rusty jingle bell, now clutched in Oma's wrinkled hand. Exhausted by the memory, Oma collapses into a chair. Max moves to her side and consoles her while the rest of the family stares in silence, unsure of what to make of her story. The kids seem to believe it, but... And here I thought I was the one losing it. Howard! What, you're gonna believe this pile of senile horseshit? Evil Santa Claus? Jesus H. Almighty. Suppose she'll be yammering about a rabbit Easter bunny come spring. That's enough. Damn right it's enough. Whoever the hell's messing with us just took my boy and your daughter, and we're sitting here listening to some twisted bedtime story. Screw that. Howard grabs his shotgun and limps for the door. Tom moves to stop him, but Howard cocks the gun. Don't, Tommy. I'm starting to like you. I am. But this is my choice. Howard starts removing the 2x4 barricade over the door. Oh God, Howard, please don't go out there. Just calm down, we can figure this out. Daddy, don't go. Stay with us, please. This is how I figure things out. He throws open the door and wind pours in. But when Howard turns to leave, he freezes in his tracks, gawking. No. The rest of his family gathers around him, staring at dozens of snowmen covering the yard. Twisted, obscene faces glaring at the family, all covered in long, sharp icicles. Howard's lip starts to quiver when he spots a fat little snowman wearing Howie's varsity jacket, positioned right up in front for all of them to see. Oh, God! Howard is about to step outside when they notice tiny glistening eyes watching them from the darkness. Dozens of strange silhouettes scurrying across rooftops while a chorus of snickers and whispers fills the air. Shut the door! Shut it! Slam! Tom rebarricades the door. Dad, what are we going to do? Tom stares at Oma, unable to shake the feeling that the old woman might be right about everything. We keep the fire hot. Off the petrified faces of the family and shrieking wind, we fade out and fade in on Max's advent calendar. The next door is opened to December 24th, revealing an eerie illustration of Santa himself. The Engel family house is now completely swallowed by snowdrifts. Gnarled icy trees crackle like bones. It might be morning, but it's still completely dark out, as if the sun itself has died. The fire crackles in the living room, but no one can sleep. It's too cold and everyone is too scared. A grandfather clock quietly ticks away. Exhausted from crying, Linda leans against Sarah. Tom and Howard keep watch at the windows, but Howard is still devastated, clutching his son's tiny shoe. Shivering from the cold, Aunt Dorothy wraps her scarf around the baby. There you go, like a fat little pig in a blanket. The baby laughs. Dorothy suddenly catches Sarah staring. Surprisingly, Sarah smiles warmly, and Aunt Dorothy returns the gesture. A silent but meaningful reconciliation. Still in shock, Stevie and Jordan look up to find Max holding a bag of candy. From my Halloween stash. A peace offering long overdue, the girls take some. Tom is lost in thought, staring at the Christmas stockings, at Beth's in particular. A long, quiet beat until, pop! Everyone jumps and grabs whatever's closest for dear life, but it was just the firewood cracking. Tom looks at his arm. Howard is still clinging to it. Max breaks the tension with some bad news. We're almost out of firewood. Tom solemnly nods, then notices something. The grandfather clock has stopped ticking. Tom looks at his family, on the verge of falling apart. With grim determination, he heads for the kitchen. Tom rummages through a junk drawer, pulls out a street map. Sarah pads in and pours some very cold coffee, hands trembling so badly she spills it all over the counter. She starts wiping it up when Tom stops her and takes her hands in his gently. When they took Howie, what did you see in there? Sarah stares into her coffee, unable to say it aloud. Her mind is still struggling to make sense of it. You believe her, don't you? That story? Tom doesn't answer, but his face says he might. I'm going out there to find Beth, Tom. I have to. I don't care if I die trying. I can't sit around here. I know. Grab Howard and Linda. I have an idea. Linda sits on the attic floor, sorting through the charred Christmas gifts salvaged from the living room. Some need fresh wrapping, others are melted into goo. Linda fights back her despair while Chrissy gurgles nearby. That's right, honey, there's still hope. Linda then comes to the parchment-wrapped ornate gifts, the ones that were on the porch when the FedEx guy came. They're half-burned, but she optimistically keeps them. Linda? Linda turns to her sister, trying to stay upbeat. Hey, do you have any super glue? Yeah, maybe. Hey, could we talk to you and Howard for a second? Can it wait? I really want to rewrap these for the kids. It's important. Max translates as the girls fire off questions. This is the most attention Oma has gotten from her grandkids in years. But what if you were good all year? And you leave out milk and cookies and do everything else right? Es ist nicht das, was sie tun, aber was sie glauben, was sie schon aufgegeben ihr. It isn't what you do, but what you believe, what you've given up. He points to his heart. In here. Oma looks right at Max when she says this, and Max notices. But can't we make him go away? Oma answers, but Max has trouble understanding. What is she saying? I'm not sure. She says we're fucked. Oma shrugs in confirmation. How do you... Because I'm old enough to know when life is coming at you with its dick out. The kids look at each other, gross. Tom plunks keys onto the counter, and Howard recognizes them. The snowplow? It was beat to hell, but if it still runs, I can drive it back here. Everyone piles into the car and follows while I clear a path in front of us. And go where? Sarah points to a map. The Megamart doubles as an emergency shelter. That might be why they still have power. If that's empty, we try the police station. And if they're gone, we keep driving until we see some lights. People, plowed roads, somewhere safe for the kids. And then we'll come back with help for Beth and Howie. Howard looks at Linda uneasy, but Howard then realizes, Hang on, you're not talking about going for the plow by yourself, are you? Tom nods and eyes Howard's injured leg. Shepherd's got to protect his flock. We push in on the pile of gifts in the attic. Suddenly, one of the ornate boxes starts moving. Something inside throbs and undulates. Other gifts follow, twitching like eggs about to hatch. Binocular view of the snowmen, now filling the yard, all more monstrous than ever, all staring at the house. Max uses the binoculars. Behind him, Oma tends the fire. Frozen trees, the yard, then a strange glow on the distant horizon. The same flickering lights of the Megamart that Tom saw earlier. Max stares at the lights, his curiosity growing. His binocular POV then pans across the dark house, across the street, until we see a huge figure perched on a roof. Max gasps, fumbles with the binoculars, but when he looks outside again, the bunched figure is gone. Max blinks and wonders if he imagined it. He knows he probably didn't. At the fireplace, Stevie reaches into a stocking looking for something to eat. Nothing. She moves to the next stocking, not noticing that something deep inside is moving, twisting and turning. Stevie's hand reaches deeper and deeper, getting closer. When a hand lands on her shoulder, she whirls around in surprise and points to a motorized spinning lollipop. Stevie? What? I think Aunt Dorothy clogged up the shitter. So use the one upstairs. Jordan bites her lip, hesitant. What, you afraid to go by yourself? Jesus, come on. They grab flashlights and leave, not noticing as something small darts through the shadows behind them. A POV from the air duct, accompanied by pitter-patter of tiny feet. The POV darts and weaves, following the sounds of echoing voices until it finds the adults talking in the kitchen. The POV spies through the vents as they look over a map of the town. The plow is only 3 blocks away. Yeah, but 3 blocks will feel like 3 miles in this mess. What about that thing under the snow? We heard it once. We can do it again. Have you guys told Max? No, not yet. Behind them, a knife rises toward the ceiling air vent, suspended by a long ribbon, hoisted by something unseen. Chrissy spots it and starts pointing, but by the time Linda turns around, the knife has already vanished into the vent. Stevie shivers, anxiously waiting for Jordan outside the bathroom. We can hear her messing around inside. Stevie pounds on the door. You giving birth in there or what? Eyes brimming with tears, Jordan stares at a photo of Howie eating a cheeseburger as big as his head. Suddenly, pitter-patter, from the air vents. Jordan freezes, listens closer but hears nothing. The bathroom door opens and Jordan steps out. Are you done? Jordan nods when they both hear a muffled voice coming from the attic. The words are unclear, but it sounds like, Beth? The girls approach the attic staircase, listening. Beth, are you up there? A long silence, uncomfortably long. Then, Stevie, Jordan, what are you doing? It really is Beth, as clear as day. The girls smile, happy to hear their cousin's voice. They head upstairs. Where have you been? Everyone's been freaking out. There's something off about Beth's voice. Unnatural. The girls ascend into the shadow attic. The candles Linda lit earlier are still burning and casting shadows on the wall. Where are you? Over here. The girls follow Beth's voice into a pile of burned gifts Linda was rewrapping. When they notice something odd, the ornate gifts are open, ripped and shredded from within, like something clawed and chewed its way out. No peeking before Christmas. Startled, the girls spin around, then they scream. The scream echoes through the house and everyone jumps and looks up. Jordan? Stevie? Linda runs from the kitchen into the living room. She follows the screams, which seem to come from everywhere. Rosie the bulldog whimpers and stares up the staircase. Oh my God, where are they? Babies? But the screams abruptly stop. Howard, Sarah, and Tom enter as Linda zeroes in on Aunt Dorothy accusingly. Where are they? They were just here. I think they went to the bathroom. And you just let them go? Was there another option? Linda calls upstairs. Jordan? Stevie? Just the creaking house and wind. Linda starts up the stairs, but Howard grabs her, holding her back. Let me go, Howard! But Howard smartly senses that something is very wrong. Shh! Listen! They hear tiny footsteps, followed by giggles. Jordy? Stevie? Oh God, please answer! Tom draws his gun. What are you doing? You guys stay, I'll check. Forget it, these are our kids, Tom. No one's going anywhere in this house alone. Well, someone's got to stay behind. I'll stay. You sure? Howard looks at Max, Oma, Dorothy, and Chrissy, the family members who need the most protection. Yeah, I'm sure. Moments later, each carrying flashlights, Tom, Sarah, and Linda climb the staircase. Tom has the gun, Sarah the axe, and Linda a hammer. Linda makes brief eye contact with Howard before disappearing into the shadows. Howard mouths, "I love you." Darkness and eerie silence. Tom leads the way, gun raised. They're all shaking from fear, the cold, or both. Tom whispers, "Stay together." A loud creak echoes from the attic stairwell, followed by more footsteps and whispers. Lit only by fire and candles, Max, Oma, Dorothy, and Howard anxiously listen to every sound from upstairs. Dorothy cradles Chrissy, trying to comfort both herself and the baby. Feeling an impalpable sense of guilt, Max turns to Oma. "Oma, I think this might be all my fault." Oma gently pulls him closer, and then, behind them, we notice something in the firelight. Something on the mantel that wasn't there a moment ago. A large nutcracker designed to look like a toy soldier, but with eerily realistic teeth. It stands perfectly still, but its appearance is more than unnerving. Suddenly, a metallic clang echoes from the kitchen, followed by breaking glass. Howard spins and aims his shotgun. Rosie growls. It sounds like someone rummaging around. "Uncle Howard? Shh." Howard peers down the hall. More clanging. Dishes break. "Rosie? Come on, girl." But Rosie whimpers and hides behind a couch. "Useless turd." "All right. You others wait here." Howard grabs a kerosene lantern and heads for the kitchen. Tom leads the way up the stairs. It's pitch black and even colder up here. A layer of mist hangs in the air, while icicles and frost creep over the walls and piles of junk. "Jordan? Stevie?" They hear a faint moan from the far end of the attic, where it's darkest. Disturbingly, it's accompanied by what can only be described as moist chewing. They hesitantly follow the sounds, flashlights shaking. Chrissy whimpers. Even the baby feels dread. "It's okay. I got you. We're gonna be okay." Gripping the fire poker, Max stands guard, but he fails to notice that the nutcracker that was on the mantel a moment ago is now gone. Howard creeps in the kitchen, heart racing, light and shadows playing tricks on his mind. Pots and broken glass litter the floor as if something tore across the counter, knocking things over. Howard then inches past the kitchen island where a gingerbread house sits, and inside, something moves. In the attic, weaving their way through a maze of junk, Tom and Sarah and Linda follow the chewing noises to the far side of the attic. Tom readies his gun. Linda is shaking so badly that she can barely aim her flashlight. They exchange nervous glances as they slowly peer over some old furniture and boxes. Their flashlights first illuminate what looks like a small wooden box, a faded jack-in-the-box with a tiny handle, similar to the one Beth found when she was taken. The lid is already open, but instead of a toy, something else has emerged from the box, some sort of creature. Flashlights pan across its thick serpentine abdomen, like a massive fleshy intestine sprawled across the floor, at least 8 feet long and horrifyingly bloated and distended. A scream rises in Linda's throat, but it isn't until their flashlights find the jack-in-the-box torso that the screaming really begins, because its upper body is that of a clown, a dirty, ragged harlequin toy that clawed its way out of a childhood nightmare and into reality. Even worse, the clown's stubby arms are clutching Jordan's legs, shoving her head first into its dislocated jaws, trying to swallow her whole. The clown then winks its black, soulless eyes as, gulp, Jordan is fully devoured. Then, horribly, it wipes its putrid mouth and smiles. Delicious. As Linda finally screams. Dorothy and Max hear the scream, and so does Howard. He bolts for the door. Thwip, thwip, thwip. He's hit by something small and fast, then falls to the floor in agony. Howard looks down to see 6 nails embedded in his leg. Hearing something, he looks up to see the nail gun on the counter, and holding the gun, unbelievably, is a bizarre trio of gingerbread men. No doubt cousins of the one that took Howie. The gingerbreads try to aim the nail gun while bickering and slapping each other, like the little assholes that they are. Howard blinks, momentarily stunned to say the least. "But I was a good boy this year." Thwip, thwip, thwip. The gingerbreads fire again, but Howard grabs a cutting board and uses it as a shield. The clown bends over to grab his next victim, Stevie, sprawled, unconscious on the floor. "Shoot it, Tom! For God's sake, shoot it!" Tom fires, hitting a cluster of junk. Startled, the clown drops Stevie and screeches off into the shadows. Screams fill the house. "Jesus, what are those sounds?" Max clutches the fire poker, too scared to move. Dishes shatter all around as Howard crawls on the floor, dodging a rapid-fire volley of nails. Pinned in a corner, he recovers, trying to get ahead on the gingerbreads. He can hear them moving, knocking over pans and pots, still whispering and bickering with each other. Linda in the attic bedroom. "Oh God, baby, wake up, wake up!" Stevie moans, groggy but alive. Linda cradles her, when, pitter-patter, something moves behind them and they spin, flashlights barely illuminating the attic. In front of them, pitter-patter. They spin again, shaking. Then a noise, whispering from above. Everyone shines their flashlights upwards and see a face glaring down from the rafters, but it isn't human. It's a demented porcelain Christmas cherub, clinging to the beams, screeching like a bat, her tattered wings spread wide. They scream as the cherub lunges and knocks Sarah to the ground. Linda rushes to help when something small and furry leaps from the shadows and, crunch, bites into her arm. When we finally get a look at it, we realize it's a teddy bear, a dirty patchwork toy that has somehow sprung to life. It growls and sinks in real teeth and claws at Linda's arm, mauling her like a rabid animal. Tom tries pulling the bear away when suddenly he cries out, arching backwards, hands trying to reach for a kitchen knife that has been stabbed between his shoulders. But even weirder, a clanging, rusty toy robot is clinging to the handle, twisting the blade deeper into Tom's back. These grotesque holiday toys are what hatched from the mysterious, ornate presents, and they are alive, attacking with shocking strength and speed. Meanwhile, in the corner, the clown slithers to a vent, straining to pull it open and escape with Jordan in its belly. Still pinned against a corner, another nail hits Howard's shoulder, another in his forearm. He screams as the gingerbreads laugh, enjoying their sadistic fun. Howard finally spots the little fuckers clustered on the kitchen island, right next to Sarah's creme brulee torch. Howard aims his shotgun and boom! The torch explodes and the gingerbreads are blasted off the counter. One is blown to pieces while the other 2 hit the floor, hilariously screeching and running around on fire. Howard enjoys watching them burn. But the gingerbreads won't give up. Spotting Howard, the flaming hellspawns let out angry screams and start running right at him, scampering across the floor. Howard fires again, blasting one of them away, but the final gingerbread lunges through the smoke, about to latch its burning body onto Howard's face, when a pair of jaws snaps the gingerbread in mid-air. It's Rosie. The fat dog shakes and mauls the cookie to pieces. Tiny hands suddenly grab Howard, who shrieks and flails until he realizes it's just Max. "Come on!" Max drags Howard away as Rosie lingers behind, staring at the gingerbread man's head, still alive, angrily screeching. Rosie curiously watches it for a moment and then eats it. The cherub cackles and wraps a string of Christmas lights around Sarah's throat, strangling her as it sadistically sings in Beth's voice, while Linda bashes the teddy with her flashlight, but it won't let go, its gruesome face splattered with fresh blood as Tom battles the toy robot, still trying to pull the knife from his back. They careen around the room before Tom slams his head against an exposed pipe and is knocked out cold. Even in all this chaos, Linda catches a glimpse of the clown trying to escape into a vent across the room. No! Fueled by a mother's rage, Linda screams and breaks off a sharp icicle from an attic beam, stabbing it into the teddy's eye. The bear screams as Linda hurls it across the attic, disappearing behind some clutter. Her perky Christmas sweater is now torn and bloodstained. Linda lunges for the axe and, "Hey!" Thwack! She cuts the robot in half with a shower of sparks. "Tom, you need to get up." He doesn't move. "Up!" Linda yanks the knife out, and he instantly awakens. "Gah!" She uses the scarf to cover Tom's wound. "Keep pressure on it." Her fierce eyes snap to the cherub still strangling Sarah. Enraged, Linda charges. The once passive, chubby soccer mom now wielding an axe like a battle-hardened warrior. "Ruh-roh!" The cherub smartly lets go of Sarah and scampers into the shadows. Linda helps Sarah to her feet. "Sis, you okay?" "Yeah, I think." "Good, help Tom." Linda leaves and rushes toward the air vent, where the clown has pulled the grate off and is now trying to squeeze its way inside, but its bulbous body is stuck. It shrieks, desperately trying to get away, just as Linda comes rushing at it, axe raised. "Give me back my daughter!" With one final squeeze, the clown disappears into the vent just as, thwack, Linda's axe misses it by inches. The clown cackles as it escapes into the ducts. Linda tries going after it, but she can't fit. Sarah is helping Tom to his feet. "It's okay, honey. You're going to be okay." Suddenly, the robot lunges, still alive, but Sarah grabs Tom's gun and blam, blam, blows it to pieces. Tom stares at his wife, amazed by her reflexes. "What?" off his look. Linda returns with Stevie in her arms. "Come on, it's in the vents. We have to find it before..." More screams suddenly join the fray from downstairs. "Oh my God! Max? Howard?" They bolt for the stairs. Max helps Howard limp into the living room as Tom, Linda, and Sarah come rushing down. Dorothy holds the baby close. "What happened up there?" Linda sits Stevie down in a chair. "They got Jordan." "It'll be all right, baby. Just breathe. That's it, breathe." Howard's face turns white upon hearing this. "Who?" "Those things that took Howie." She looks at Oma. "Whatever they are." Tom and Sarah rush to Max. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Max wraps a blanket around Stevie, who's trembling in shock. Jordan's screams fill the house, followed by more thumping, as the clown slithers its way through the vents. Enraged, Howard springs to his feet and reloads his shotgun. "This ends here, right now." Their eyes are glued to the ceilings and walls, trying to follow the noises, but they seem to be coming from everywhere. "I think it's panicking, trying to find a way outside." "We boarded everything." "What are we dealing with, Linda? What did you see up there?" "I don't want to know." "Hun, I just got my ass kicked by a bunch of Christmas cookies. So trust me when I say, I can take it." "Shh!" Everyone anxiously listens to the thumping and screaming. Sometimes close and sometimes distant. Max suddenly notices Rosie whimpering and scratching at a large vent near the floor. An idea sparks and Max rushes to pull the vent open. "Max, what are you doing?" "Go get him, girl!" Rosie charges into the vent, barking and growling. The family listens as the dog starts hunting the clown, sniffing and patting around the vents. When they hear the clown shriek in terror as it's being chased, attacked, and mauled, we hear a flurry of barking and screeching as their off-screen battle becomes vicious and intense. Chunks of walls and ceiling bulge and crack from the pursuit. Pipes burst, water sprays. Sarah's gallery of family portraits shatter on the floor. But it sounds like Rosie is winning, slowly dragging the panicked creature toward the vent. "Get him, Rosie! Kill it!" Then we hear a loud thump followed by silence. Everyone looks around. "Rosie?" More uncomfortable silence for way too long. Then, the living room ceiling cracks and caves in. Everyone ducks, dodging falling debris as the clown's massive body hits the floor with a sick, wet thud. The beast is now even more horrifying, covered in dirt, grime, and cobwebs. It has devoured Rosie, the dog's shape now visible in the clown's swollen belly with Jordan. The clown screeches and howls, futilely attempting to crawl away, but it's too fat to move. Howard is frozen with terror, while the rest of the family surrounds the clown, trying to keep it from escaping again. "Kill it, Howard!" The clown viciously defends itself, hissing and clawing at them like a trapped animal. Sarah lunges with the knife, trying to cut its belly open, but the clown bites her hand. Tom pulls her back to safety. Finally, snapping out of his daze, Howard raises the shotgun and aims for the monster's head, about to pull the trigger, when something small and fast flies through the air and latches onto Howard, slamming him to the ground. It's the cherub, its tattered wings wrapped around Howard's head as it scratches and bites his face. "Get it off me! Get it off!" Tom and Sarah rush to pull the little monster away. Suddenly, the clown arches back and lets loose with a terrifying primal howl, as if crying for help. It's so chaotic that no one notices as the teddy bear rises up behind Oma, standing on a shelf, holding a rolling pin. "Oma!" Thwack! It hits her and she falls. Furious, Aunt Dorothy grabs Howard's shotgun off the floor and blows the teddy bear to pieces. Max rushes to Oma, dazed but alive. That's when the fire extinguisher goes off, filling the room with billowing clouds of white. When the clouds dissipate, Max sees the Nutcracker clutching the extinguisher. It scampers away. "Dad?" Tom and Sarah finally pull the cherub off Howard and hurl it against the wall as boom! Aunt Dorothy nails it with the shotgun. Feathers and porcelain fly everywhere. Everyone turns their attention back to the clown. "Aunt Dorothy, finish it." With pleasure. She raises the shotgun, but the clown no longer seems afraid. A sick smile spreads across its face, as if it knows something they don't. We push in on Oma, her face filled with dread, realizing. "Elfen!" Smash! Smash! Multiple pairs of tiny arms start breaking through the windows, grabbing Dorothy and wresting the gun away from her. Wind fills the room and candles are blown out. It's difficult to see those new creatures in the darkness, but they clearly are not toys. Bigger, meaner, and stronger. They are elfin. Dark elves. Laughing and snickering, the elves quickly tear through the boards and barricades and tumble into the living room. There are 7 of them, all similar but slightly different. Dressed in dirty pelts and furs, their leathery skin is chapped and cracked from the cold. Their face covered by primitive marks, carved into terrifying expressions, while strings of bones and bells clatter around their necks. The elves surround the clown, protecting it like a prized pet, while the Nutcracker obediently scampers to their side. One of the elves even examines the remains of the cherub and teddy bear, mourns their loss. It's as if the toys were hunting dogs and the elves are the hunters. Tom grabs the axe, about to attack, but the elves press a dagger against Dorothy's throat. It's now a standoff. God damn it, Tom! I'm pushing 70 with nothing going on but booze and reruns. Do it! But Tom can't. Suddenly, heavy, rusty chains, adorned with thick hooks, smash through the broken windows. Moving quickly, the elves attach the chains to the clown, then wrap them tightly around Aunt Dorothy. Howard can't take it. He breaks free from the others and lunges at the clown, grabbing onto its sick tail, just as the chains are pulled taut, and Dorothy, the clown, and Howard are all yanked out the window into the darkness. Linda screams as she's held back by Tom and Sarah. Only Max, Tom, Sarah, Oma, Linda, and baby Chrissy remain, hopelessly surrounded by the elves. The snarling creatures inch closer, toying with the family, jabbing at them with daggers and spears. Linda clutches Chrissy and Stevie while Tom and Sarah slash at the elves, trying to keep them at bay. Max holds on to Oma, terrified. The family braces themselves, but suddenly the elves stop in their tracks, staring upward, as if hearing something, sensing something. And then the elves scatter, scrambling and leaping out of the broken windows. Silence as the family looks around. Howard? Aunt Dorothy? Sarah comforts Linda, whose mind is starting to crack. Tom moves fast, sorting through the rubble for the shotgun. Max, the ammo. Max scrambles, grabbing shotgun shells off the floor, scattered next to crushed ornaments and cookies. Where did they go? I'm more worried about when they come back. I say we make a break for it. For what? The snowplow. It's our only shot. Linda panics. This is a nightmare. It has to be. It can't be real. God, why is this happening to us? Why is this happening to our family? A pop and a hiss. Max turns to see Oma with a match, trying to reignite the fire. The wind blows it out, but she keeps trying. Mom, stop, we're leaving. But she won't. Mom, you have to stop. Tom grabs her, forcing her. They stare at each other. Tom sees the pain and fear in his mother's eyes when faint sleigh bells ring in the distance, getting closer. Everyone freezes, straining to listen as the bells get closer and closer and louder. Boom! The house shakes as something lands on the roof. As it does, the Christmas lights begin to flicker and strobe. A record player kicks on, blasting a warped and distorted rendition of Here Comes Santa Claus. Everyone gawks and listens to the boom, boom, boom. Whatever's up there clomps toward the chimney, accompanied by hoarse breathing and clanking chains. It's him. The temperature plunges. Frost spreads across walls. Ornaments jingle with each thud, heralding his arrival. Everyone backs away from the fireplace as black ash trickles down the chimney, the hoarse breathing growing louder. Come on! Tom removes the barricade in the foyer, clutching the shotgun, bracing for whatever awaits them outside. Tom? Tom stares at his family. He doesn't know what to say, except, everyone hold on to each other. Crack! The ceiling splinters as the creature starts forcing its way down the chimney. Tom flings open the door. Wind fills the room. The family grabs each other and starts trudging outside. Nearly knocked over by wind, everyone does their best to help each other. Max and Oma are about to leave when Oma abruptly stops just shy of the door. Oma, what's wrong? She tearfully stares at Max, and then, be good, as Oma slams the door shut, locking them outside. Oma! Everyone stops and sees Max pounding on the door. Mom? Oma slides the barricade back into place, then calmly approaches the hearth, watching as the chimney bulges and breaks from the descending monster. Mom, open the door! Mom! But Oma has resigned herself to this sacrifice. Mom! Watching Tom futilely pounding on the door, Max realizes, Dad, she wants us to go. Tom stops. He knows that Max is right. She's trying to help. Suddenly they all flinch as a howl pierces the air, the terrifying roar of the snow beast, and it's getting closer. Resigned, Tom looks at his son, Sarah and Linda. It's an agonizing choice that no father should have to make. Choking back tears, Tom backs away from the door. They leave, carefully keeping away from the snowmen, but as the family is engulfed by the storm, one of the snowmen seems to turn its head, watching them. Oma gawks as black smoke pours out of the fireplace. The bricks and mantel crack as the music stops, skipping on a static loop, as the record has reached its end. Suddenly, two long skeletal arms reach out from the hearth like pale spider legs, covered in ash and soot. Taloned hands clutch the lip of the hearth and pull the massive body out of the chimney. Bones crunch and snap as it twists and contorts to squeeze through. With a thud, a huge hoof hits the floor, crushing a Santa Claus ornament. Thud. The other hoof. Oma is oddly unafraid of this ancient old-world demon. It begins to rise, slowly unfurling itself to stand at its full height. Meet Krampus. His hulking form is draped in heavy layers of pelts and furs, as dark red as if dyed with blood. Long chains and rusty bells clank with each step. While we see his silhouette in the flickering lantern light, we never see the details of his horrid face. We only see a mane of wild hair, matted beard covered with frost and ice, framing two sunken, glistening eyes. Krampus looms over Omi, hissing with perverse glee. A long serpentine tongue emerges from his mouth as he caresses her cheek, savoring their reunion. Krampus then turns and opens his huge bag of toys. A chorus of whispers and snickers rise within. Terror fills Oma's face as this mischievous chittering grows louder. But before she can scream, a flurry of tiny monstrous forms bursts from the bag. We smash cut to screaming wind reaching its apex. The frigid storm is a deadly combination of snow, sleet, and hail. The neighborhood is unrecognizable. Houses and cars are completely buried, broken trees covered in ice. It looks more like a dark fantasy landscape than suburbia. A lone flashlight pierces the darkness as the muted sound of a crying baby barely rises over the tempest. The family wades through waist-deep snow trying to stay together. Tom leads, doing his best to guide them. Max looks back at their house one last time as its Christmas lights flicker and go out. His heart breaks, realizing Oma is gone. We hear nothing but the screeching storm. It's too cold for the family to even speak. They can only point and gesture. Faces frostbitten, hands turning blue. They're freezing. This is a death march. Linda stumbles, nearly dropping Chrissy, but Max and Stevie help her back up. Tom looks around, trying to get his bearings, when he spots the charred wreckage of Howard's Hummer. It's only 10 feet away, which means the snowplow isn't far. Tom gestures for everyone to follow when they hear the snow beasts roar in the distance, getting closer. They try to move faster, fighting the wind, trying to help each other. Either they will all survive, or no one will. Sinister eyes watch them from the darkness, prowling in the trees, crawling across roofs like wolves hunting their prey. Suddenly Max spots something moving under the snow, tunneling toward them. Max tugs at Tom, frantically pointing. Tom sees it, aims the shotgun, and boom! The snow beast howls in agony, but keeps burrowing under the snow, getting closer and closer. Sarah, Linda, Stevie, and Max keep running as Tom fires again and again until, boom! Black blood erupts and the monster seems to retreat and disappear. For now. The family desperately moves as fast as they can, but it's like running through quicksand. They turn a corner and spot the snowplow, only 30 feet away. Their last hope. Lightning flashes. In the burst of light, they see the snow beast coming at them again. Tom waves for the others to keep going as he lingers behind, putting himself between the creature and his family. Sarah cries, begging Tom to come, but he won't budge. All he can do is mouth, "I love you," in the harsh wind. Max watches as his parents gaze at each other in a final heartbreaking goodbye. Then Tom looks at Sarah and Max, hands the keys to Sarah, and urgently mouths, "Go." As much as it pains them, they do. Tom watches until they fade into the mist. He then scans the darkness, trying to see through the storm, when he spots the snow beast circling him. Tom fires, and the snow explodes. He keeps shooting until, click, he's empty. Tom closes his eyes, bracing himself. In a burst of wind, he's gone, pulled under the surface. Stevie climbs in the snowplow first, then pulls Max up to safety. Linda is lagging, struggling to carry Chrissy. Sarah turns to help when she spots the creature tunneling at them, closing in. Linda sees it too and panics. She tries moving faster, but it's impossible. The creature is 15 feet away. 10, 6... Stevie and Max helplessly watch as the monster descends on Linda and Chrissy, and in the blink of an eye, mother and daughter are pulled under. "No!" Without hesitation, Sarah dives into the snow. A long beat as Stevie and Max scan the sea of white, and then Sarah resurfaces next to the plow with Chrissy in her arms. She hands the baby and keys to Max. "Max, take it and go." "No, Mom, you can make it. You can..." Sarah weakly smiles, just as she is pulled back under. Silence, as Max trembles, clutching the baby. "Mom? Mom?" But she's gone. Everyone is gone. Max and Stevie gaze at each other, realizing they're the only ones left. We smash cut to moments later. Max slams the door, hands the baby to Stevie, fumbles with the keys, and tries the engine. It sputters but doesn't start. He tries again. "Come on, come on!" Outside the windows, lightning flashes, revealing dozens of snowmen, now a throng of horrid icicle-covered monsters, getting closer, just as the engine finally rumbles to life. Max throws it to reverse and backs it out from the tree. The tires spin for a beat before catching. The huge metal scraper blade lowers as Max lines it up to face the snowmen. "Merry Christmas, assholes!" Max punches it, and the plow starts barreling through snowmen, smashing them to pieces. Max mows them down with a vengeful smile when, crash, something huge lands on the roof, buckling the metal. Stevie screams and shields Chrissy, holding her tight as Krampus's claw tears through the roof like tissue paper. Cold wind rushes in while the kids stare in horror. The bird's-eye Krampus point of view, rising high into the air, gazing down at the kids. We hover, then swoop back down on screaming children, until silence, and darkness. For an uncomfortably long time, we might even expect the credits to start rolling. Then Max opens his eyes, still sitting behind the wheel. Snowflakes float around him through the torn roof. The wind is stopped. We only hear the idling motor of the plow. Confused, Max looks at the seat next to him, but it's empty. Stevie and Chrissy are gone, and then he spots it. A rusty sleigh bell, just like the one Oma found decades ago when her family was taken, when she was left behind. Max hesitantly picks up the bell and looks closer, finding the same inscription. Gruß vom Krampus. Trembling, he stares through the windshield where he notices something. The glowing lights of the Megamart on the horizon. Max bites his lip, gears turning, wondering and hoping. Then clutching the rusty bell, Max makes a decision. The snowplow rumbles through desolate streets, heading toward the mysterious light. Max nervously stares out the window, getting a first-hand look at the destruction Krampus has brought upon the town. Cars overturned, houses burning, decorations littering the streets. A police cruiser sits empty, red and blue lights randomly flickering. Snowmen lurk everywhere. Trying to stay calm, Max anxiously hums a Christmas song to himself. It doesn't help. Then he sees something huge emerging from the fog ahead. The Megamart. But the store is unrecognizable, completely frozen over. It's now an ominous mountain of frost and ice. The plow comes to a stop in front of the store. Max climbs out, clutching a tire iron as his only weapon. Dread grips him as he stares up at the cave-like entrance. It resembles a demon's gaping maw, rimmed with hundreds of icicles for teeth. But this profane place is far from abandoned. Faint lights are visible deep within its icy walls, a mix of blinking Christmas lights and flickering fires. Then Max hears something in the desolate quiet. Christmas music. Eerie and haunting, it echoes from inside the store. Mustering what little courage he has left, Max grips the tire iron and enters. Warbling Christmas music echoes everywhere, slowed down and distorted, as if played from a warped and broken record. It is a far cry from the bustling holiday scene we saw before. The store is in ruins, ransacked, its dark aisles now covered in 10 feet of snow. Max enters cautiously, eyes darting between dark corners and strange shadows. Giant toy soldiers greet him, all pointing the way to Santa's village. Max doesn't trust them one bit. Moving past the village's empty cottages, Max tries to head deeper into the store, but he's blocked by a mountain of snow and frozen junk at least 15 feet high. So with no other way to go, Max begins to climb. On top of the snow mound, nervously reaching the crest, Max peeks over the edge. Mix of terror and wonder fills his eyes as he gawks at Krampus's workshop. What the? Like a Christmas card painted by Hieronymus Bosch, the store has been transformed into a musty factory filled with strange clanking machinery, all being run by a dozen dark elves. The machines form a bizarre Rube Goldberg device cobbled together from equipment scavenged from the store. Bits of washing machines, lawnmowers, exercise gear, and appliances. The store's giant Christmas tree dominates the room, but it's now frozen, broken, and surrounded by piles of leather sacks. Like giant treasure mounds scattered as far as the eye can see, the sacks look as if they might contain frozen bodies. Max gapes at this nightmarish sight when he slowly realizes he didn't just climb a snow mound, he climbed one of these body piles. Hands shaking, he opens an icy bag to discover a mailman frozen solid. Next to him, a waitress. And there are hundreds more. at least one bag for every person. Gathering himself, Max then watches as the elves get to work, and we see exactly what this workshop creates. The elves first toss the frozen bagged victims onto a clanking conveyor belt one by one. Max watches as the belt carries the bodies through the store, sloping upwards until it finally dumps the sack into a giant vat, at least 20 feet tall and 15 feet wide, welded together from chunks of sheet metal and roofing. A raging fire burns beneath as one frozen townsperson after another plummets into the vat, disappearing under a thick layer of steam and smoke into who knows what. More elves stand at the vat's edge, cranking a huge mixing blade that stirs this horrid pulp together. And it gets worse. Thick tubes connect the vat to a network of steaming pipes that split off and feed the pulp into a network of machinery. One machine injects the pulp into different sorts of tiny limbs, heads, torsos, which are then assembled into new creepy toys before they're boxed up by a team of elves. Another machine mixes the batter with flour, eggs, and spices before they're rolled, pressed, and baked to become fresh, hot gingerbread men, already smiling with maniacal glee. Then a final machine feeds the pulp into a network of stoves and grills rigged together to create a giant chugging oven. A final conveyor belt rolls out of this oven, revealing loaves of fruitcakes. Yes, fruitcakes. The sticky loaves are then wrapped, ribboned, and stacked by a final team of elves. At least now you know what they're really made of. Suddenly a crying baby echoes. Doors burst open, and Max watches as freshly frozen victims are wheeled in on a cart, and baby Chrissy is one of them. The elves are oddly fascinated, poking and playing with her. It's her screams they savor the most. The elves then begin encasing the other frozen victims in burlap bags. Tom, Sarah, Linda, Howard, Dorothy, Jordan, Stevie, Howie Jr., even Rosie the Bulldog is here. Max gawks as his entire family is prepped for their doom. God, no! Someone's point of view creeps through the mountains of bodies coming up behind Max, scurrying low and quick until it pounces. Max shrieks, but a hand covers his mouth, gawking. Beth? Alive but traumatized, Beth is shaking and frostbitten. Rambling in shock. He took me. Santa. He's real, Max. He's real. Oh my God. I'm sorry we made fun of you. I mean, who knew, right? Are we in hell? No, that wasn't Santa. We're not in hell. And yes, you guys were jerks, but we gotta save them. Look! Max points to their frozen family, who are now being dumped onto the conveyor belt by the elves, Chrissy included. Mom? Dad? Beth, we have to do something. Do you understand? Beth nods, trying to shake off her shock. But what can we do? Max looks around the store and spots the sporting goods department, ideas brewing. The elves are startled by a classic familiar voice. Jimmy Stewart. Clarence? Help me, Clarence. I don't care what happens to me. A lead elf points for the others to investigate. Please give me back my wife and kids. I want to live again. I want to live again. The elves arrive to rows of TVs playing It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart running through the streets. Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium! For a moment, the elves seem confused and even touched by the old movie. Then, bam! The elves turn to see Beth holding a baseball bat. She has just knocked out a supporting leg for the display, which tips the TVs over and crushes the elves like bugs, screeching, popping, and convulsing as they are electrocuted. 3 elves are still working at the top of the vat when an arrow, thunk, suddenly pierces the lead elf's eye and black blood sprays everywhere as he plunges into the vat. The remaining 2 elves whirl around, trying to find the culprit, when a volley of arrows hits them. They fall in screaming as we whip pan to reveal Max, concealed among the frozen bodies, wielding a hunting crossbow like a tiny assassin. Max crawls under the machine, working his way towards the control box that powers the complicated system of grinding gears and pistons. He pauses as more eyes scurry past, rushing toward the commotion Beth just caused. Finally reaching the control box, Max tries finding a way to shut it down. He turns a knob, but it only makes the conveyor belt move faster. "Aw, come on!" Beth darts and weaves through aisles with the elves in pursuit. She turns a corner and slides on a patch of ice, but grabs a nearby shelf, catching herself. Looking up, she sees the shelves are packed with glass ornaments and snow globes. Crash! Beth knocks them off the shelf, catching herself. Looking up, she sees the shelves are packed with glass ornaments and snow globes. Crash! Beth knocks them off the shelf, shattering dozens of glass baubles and globes across the floor. The elves turn the corner and slip on the ice, tumbling through shards of glass, howling in pain. Beth smiles to herself until she sees a larger elf racing at her, wielding sharpened blades in each hand. She frantically turns a corner and bolts down another aisle. The family is beginning the final ascent to the vat. Panicking, Max starts tearing at random hoses, wires, and cables, but the machine won't shut down. The elf scrapes a blade across an icy wall, hunting for Beth. Inside a dressing room, Beth cringes at the sound. The elf starts looking beneath the doors. Spotting a pair of feet, he smiles and kicks the door open, revealing mannequin legs? From behind, thwack! Beth hits the elf with her bat again and again, raging as the black elf blood spatters everywhere. The family is approaching the vat's edge. Max finally lurches for a fire axe on the wall and thwack! Hits the control box again and again, shrieking with rage. Sparks fly as the giant machine finally clanks to a halt. Max climbs up the conveyor belt and reaches his family. He starts shaking them wildly. "Mom? Dad? Wake up!" No one stirs. He hears the elves screeching in the distance, chasing after Beth. They're getting closer. "Come on, guys! Wake up!" Sarah's eyes pop open. She looks around and is about to scream, but Max puts a hand over her mouth. "Shh." Tom's hands move, frost and ice cracking away. Bleary-eyed. "Max?" Max smiles, tears brimming, as everyone starts to awaken, frightened and disoriented. But an elf is quietly rising up behind Max, wielding a huge wooden mallet. "Max!" Max spins around as the mallet comes down, but crack! The elf screams as it plummets off the conveyor belt, revealing Beth, clutching the baseball bat. "Help me untie them!" Beth and Max start freeing their family, cutting through the ribbon and garland wrapped around their heads and ankles. But an eerie chorus of chittering whispers is building around them. Max looks around to see dozens of creeping toys emerging from boxes and shelves all around the store, like spiders crawling from their nests. "Faster, Beth, faster! I'm trying!" The toys start crawling toward the conveyor belt, joined by the bruised and battered elves Beth dispatched earlier. "I almost have it!" But a huge skeletal hand suddenly reaches through the smoke and grabs Beth. An arm hoists her up, revealing Krampus looming over them. This time we finally see him clearly, illuminated by fire and flickering lights. His wrinkled face is like a saggy mask made of leathery skin, sewn together to resemble Santa Claus, but with dark hollow eyes that hint at something much worse lurking beneath. In fact, his whole appearance seems to be some sort of perverse disguise to conceal a much more sinister entity. With a deep hiss, Krampus gestures to his minions below. The toys and elves scramble to repair the machine. Beth kicks and screams as Krampus curiously inspects her and sniffs her, his serpentine tongue emerging from his jaws, licking his chapped lips. He then turns and dangles Beth over the vat. He's about to drop her when a snowball hits his face. "Let her go!" Krampus pauses and looks down at Max, a tiny angry mouse. Max stares up defiantly. He then throws something else. "I said let her go!" A sleigh bell hits Krampus, then bounces to the ground. Krampus cocks his head, considering the demand. Surprisingly, he then places Beth back on the conveyor belt with the rest of the family, all staring in shock. "Max, what are you doing?" Krampus and Max face off like gunslingers. Max is struggling to stay brave. He has nothing up his sleeve. He's making this up as he goes along. Then an idea hits him, a very difficult one. "Take me instead." The family is stunned. "Max, no, are you crazy?" Max ignores them as he walks toward Krampus. "Let them go. All of them. This is all my fault. Take me." Krampus suddenly grabs Max and lifts him in the air like a puppy dangled by its nap. He pulls Max close enough for Max to feel the demon's hot, stinking breath, close enough for him to see a hint of Krampus's true face under the mask of skin, and a glimmer of the demon's real eyes staring back at him. As Krampus and Max gaze at each other, something unspoken seems to pass between them. Krampus's darkness and rage seems to soften. It's almost as if the demon's heart is about to grow 3 times. Max's family watches, waiting. Even the toys and the elves seem oddly moved by Max's courage. But then Krampus quietly starts to laugh, soft and rasp, but slowly building into a deep, raucous cackle. Krampus sneers at his minions. A silent order is given. The minions spring into action, turning the machine back on. "No! What are you doing? Take me! I said take me!" Shocked, Max helplessly watches as Beth, Howard, Linda, and his cousins go over the edge first, screaming and clutching each other as they disappear into the vat's coiling steam. Oma, Tom, and Sarah are next. Krampus then turns and dangles Max over the vat. They stare at each other one last time, Max's eyes full of regret. "I'm sorry." Then, Krampus drops Max into the vat. From above, we watch as Max and his family fall together in slow motion. We plummet with them, falling down, down, until they are consumed by steam clouds and smoke, completely filling the frame with pure white. As the family's screams fade, leaving only the machine's chugging and grinding, we pull out from a solid white frame, revealing a window covered in frost. Hazy morning light pouring through. We can still hear the machine's grinding, although now it sounds like a passing snowplow. We continue pulling out from the icy window until we find Max, asleep in bed. He springs awake, screaming and flailing, as he tumbles to the floor in a painful thud. Max slowly sits up and looks around, confused. He then moves to the window and looks outside. It's snowing, only this time it's not an Arctic storm, but a picturesque white Christmas. Kids building snow forts, FedEx dropping off gifts, and a snowplow clearing the street. Stunned, Max turns to his advent calendar and opens the final door to December 25th. What the hell? Suddenly, familiar voices echo downstairs. Max races down the steps into the living room, where he's greeted by the Christmas tree, once again standing tall and bright, surrounded by colorful gifts. "About time you got up. We've been waiting forever." Beth breezes by and joins the rest of the family. "Yeah, kiddo. We were worried the sugar plum fairies got ya." A warm fire crackles. Bing Crosby fills the air. Rosie the bulldog lounges on her back, snoring. You're all alive?" Tom and Sarah look at each other, slightly worried. Aunt Dorothy plops into a chair, pouring rum into her eggnog. "Barely. Haven't had a hangover like this since the Pope died." Trying to make sense of this, Max sits down between his parents as Oma walks by with a tray of hot chocolate. "What's up, champ? You okay?" Max stares at Linda, Howard, Jordan, Stevie, Howie, and baby Chrissy. His whole family is here. "Yeah, I guess. Just a bad dream." "Enough with this sappy crap. Let's open our damn presents." Okay, I've got..." She passes out gifts. "Howie, Tom, Aunt Dorothy, Howard, Jordan, Sarah, Oma, and Stevie." Ribbons and wrapping paper fly. Max braces himself, half expecting something monstrous to leap from the boxes, but it's nothing but a sea of toys, clothes, and gadgets. Linda hands Max one final gift. "This one's for you, Max." But instead of opening it, Max suddenly gives his parents a big warm hug. "Whoa! Hey, what's this for?" "Nothing, Merry Christmas, everyone." Sarah shrugs. "Oh, well, Merry Christmas, Max." "Merry Christmas, son." Max finally opens his gift to find the rusty sleigh bell. His smile drops. In fact, everyone's smile fades as they gaze at the bell. Dark, surreal memories suddenly resurfacing. Memories of something impossible, something horrifying. The creeping realization that the Christmas magic they all once denied is terrifyingly real. The fireplace flickers as a deep wind shakes the house, and barely audible somewhere in the air are fading sleigh bells. The family stares in total silence, all of them remembering Krampus, his minions, everything, while on the stereo plays Bing Crosby. "You better watch out, you better not cry, better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town." We pull out from the puzzled, shaken family, out the window, and into their front yard. The end. Congrats on making it to the end, and thank you very much for listening. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to comment with the one you want to hear next. See you in the next movie reading.